start with item 41, which is noise variance permit for unit drop forge, 1903 South 62nd Street. I believe it's a normal procedure of
There's a-
Yeah.
renewal of the
separate-
permits.
There's a
There's
separate
a
one.
separate
Yeah,
license and
separate one.
health
Oh, okay.
agenda.
Okay.
You
So
have
we
to
can,
print out another
it gives
agenda
them-
for me.
Bartender's license.
Yeah, we're gonna just do that agenda.
yeah, let's finish this one.
What are you starting with?
He was reading the wrong agenda for the.
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh,
Yeah,
oh,
I
I'm
got that.
sorry. I wasn't.
Okay, we'll start with new and previous matters. 2022-08-99, 22-2024, renewal of operator license, bartender class D, operator application for Samantha Lieber, bartender 316. Samantha, are you here? She's not here, right?
Not yet. Maybe we can pass that one and move on.
Give her a few minutes.
Yeah, we can wait, sure.
Okay.
So we go to item 2, 2022-09-00, 2022-2024, new operator license, bartender class D operator application for Amber Lickwick, bartender 3112. Are you here, Amber? She's not here either.
Okay, is this a non-appearance?
So we should hold it, or,
Here Wisniewski's here for
We'll get to you.
yeah, we can go back, let's wait for
Are
you.
these both first-time misses, Rebecca?
Well, the other one, I
I
believe.
think so. I thought we were putting it on the agenda, but
Yeah.
I did identify, I believe there was one.
on the last,
That was a non-appearance the
the
first
Lucy
time,
very
Bird,
correct?
and
first
all
one,
the
yeah.
other people
Yeah, the
haven't
first
been
one
sent
was-
a notice
Okay,
before.
we will,
So we can hold one and two
forward.
then, right? I
we
mean,
can, if we're gonna grace one, we'll grace the other.
Okay. So we move on to item 3, 2022-09-02, 2022-2024, new operator license, bartender class D operator application for Catherine Wasiski, bartender 304. Is Catherine here?
Right here.
Oh, you're here. So you were here last time, right?
No, I was here to get my license. I've been, I grew up in this city, yes,
Which is number 4.
but no.
This is number 4. I think we skipped number 3.
You
but
skipped
this is
3.
Catherine
3.
Wisniewski.
3, yes.
4.
With 4 right now.
Yeah, you skipped item, you
Alright.
skipped the third.
That's okay,
Now
because
we're on the
3
fourth.
Okay.
So we're on Catherine Wisniewski. I'm Nick Serwin. I'm with the city attorney's office. You were brought in regarding potential record issues.
Yes.
And so I'm not sure if the committee has questions for her, or if you have anything you want to opine right off the bat about those concerns.
Well, just to let you guys know, if you guys have any concerns, I'm never going back. I just got that amended and dropped. I did 6 months of Justice Point, GPA, that's what I was doing. I did my mental health assessment, AOD classes to finally, get ahead in life. So right now they amended it, which was I'm happy about, and that's all I could ask for, so I can get a job and be here. And that's why I went through all this, was so I can have everything dropped as of now. And so everything's been amended, everything's all good, and I would like to just continue on what I do because I love bartending, I love being around my people, my community, and my service, and
Yeah.
this what screwed me over for a minute, so, but, I mean, like I said, I've been doing this for a while now, and to tell you the truth, the community and being back in my city again, it's the best feeling you could ask for. And I would like to get my license.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
could I just ask a few questions real quick?
sure.
Thank you. Okay, so for the DPA, the Deferred Prosecution Agreement, CCAP says that was revoked but then amended. So what happened there?
Okay, so basically, I did 6 months of community, I did 15 hours community service. I did, which basically we had to do every week. I had to do mental health assessment and DR and justice, or mental health assessment and AOD, and then the following week I had to do mental health assessment and AOD and drug testing. So it was like a constant, like I would have to go in for 6 months every other week for drug testing, and then I'd have classes that I would have to attend to because of, I have ADHD, bipolar, and everything that's all included, so they had to see that in the records. because I never touched anything like that, and it was just only possession, that's when they started to see things were changing, like there was no way, like I was doing any of this stuff, so that's why everything got amended to.
Well, why is it revoked though?
It's revoked completely. It's because the fact is that I did all the requirements they asked me to do. Essays, the 15 hours of community service, the
So, and I'm not trying to interrupt you, I'm just trying to clarify because I used to work at the DA's office, so I know how
Yeah.
these programs usually work. And usually it would have been a dismissal outright, they would have just dismissed it instead of revoking the agreement. So revoking the agreement generally means that something didn't go right, but then to your benefit, they amended it to a ticket for $1. So I guess, I mean, does that make sense, or is there?
it does make sense.
Okay.
But because the fact is, like I have ADHD and all that, my physical therapist was allowing me to smoke THC.
Okay.
So that was the only reason why I got dropped down to that, and then the charges got amended. So that's why I kind of went.
Gotcha.
That's where it went into, because my therapist, which is my psychologist and my therapist at American Telepsychology, was okay with it because of the severity that I have.
Okay,
Oh,
and you know that, I mean, Wisconsin marijuana is.
right, exactly,
Yep.
and that's why I don't do it. But
Okay.
but that was to help you out. But yeah, no.
Okay, and
No.
then my other question is, you had said something along the lines of being happy to be back in
My
West
city.
Dallas.
Yeah.
Where
Where was I before in Cudahy?
in Cudahy, and that's
Yeah.
where this occurred?
No, actually, it occurred right here, actually, at the end of the city. But
Okay.
it was it was illegal. Technically, I could have sued the city of the cops because it was a rookie. He only pulled me over for speeding, but it wasn't my car, and I didn't know I had this stuff in my wallet at the time, so I took it. I took the justice point and I took the DPA. Because the charges were going to be amended, and I wanted it clear off my record. I feel that there's no way I could have gotten a job or anything with that stuff on my record. It's embarrassing in life, and I don't need that.
And what have you done, I know the DPA, the Deferred Prosecution Agreement, and the treatment you've done, but what measures or steps have you taken to make sure that this doesn't happen again, especially in a professional context where you're gonna have to call
yeah.
cops?
Oh yeah, no, actually I don't have no problems calling the cops or talking to them, so it's not a big deal to me. I have nothing to hide. I'm always, I went through, like I said, I've been through an abusive relationship. I just got out of it recently. He's actually on a bench warrant right now, and you guys can look that all up. So there was a lot of things that's going on, but like I said, I have no problems with the officers or anything like that. It's not a big deal. I mean, I had to come, actually, I just had to call them recently, matter of fact, because, somebody just robbed me for $52 at the bar. So, I mean, and it just, I have no problems. I got nothing to hide. Like, hey, like I said, I've changed my life completely. I'm a different person than what I was. So all the things that I just went through has made me realize that you don't need that crap in your life to
Do you have a
continue on.
full-time job for any chance, or?
Actually, yeah, bartending at Harry's as a bartender for the.
You do at the present time, you're
Yep.
working full-time.
Yep.
Are you have your driver license?
I will be getting my driver's license back. Yes. Yep.
So do you have a temporary driver license right now? You don't, right?
No. It's suspended as of right now.
So do
Once
you
I
have,
pay off my tickets.
do you have any more charge pending against your records?
You can look at my record. Nothing at all.
Nothing at all, eh?
No.
Attorney,
Mr. Chair,
yes, Alderman.
how do you get to work now?
I walk. It's only 20 blocks.
How many?
20 blocks.
20.
Yep.
Okay.
I walk back and forth every day.
How'd you get here? How'd you get here tonight?
I usually walk. I walk. So.
Usually. What did
Yeah.
you do tonight?
Well, I drove, but yeah, normally I walk.
Okay.
Yeah, but I don't risk my license in any type of way or anything like that. I got a licensed vehicle, but no, but I walk every day.
So you drove here without a license?
But yeah, technically, but yeah.
Why did you do that?
In order to get here, I had to.
But see,
And then I go park the vehicle and I walk home anyways. I walk to work every day. I walk it back and forth. I do all
I'm
that.
so sad about you. It seemed like you know, based on what you tell me, you know, you drove here and what you told, Oliver Road.
But like I
I
said,
mean,
I, it's,
how can you, I mean, it seems like you're continuing violating in your life, really. I mean, myself, I would never do anything if I have no driver's
Well-
license. I would never.
well, I'm
do
not gonna
anything.
drive the van anymore. No, it was just to get up here. I needed to get up here, but
But that's
usually
illegal.
I walk back and forth to and from work. So like it's from home into work is about a 30-minute
But
walk
don't you
each
understand
way.
it's illegal?
Right.
So you making me concerned about, in your lifetime, since you've been driving or so many other concerns that I have, you know, it seems like you just, you look, the issues, you oversight it. It just seems like, you don't pay attention, you know, and you're not a really young woman. You're not 15 years old, you know?
I mean,
I mean,
Mr. Chair?
yes, yes.
If I may, Catherine, I'm going to make a motion to deny your license. This is based on habitual criminality, contact with the police. You've shown by coming tonight, you didn't obey the law. You're driving on a suspended license. That is too concerning for me to think that you'd make good judgment behind the bar.
I've always made good.
I'll
judgment,
second
but-
that motion.
On the motion of denial, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The eye have it.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Good luck.
Catherine, to come. Thank you. Okay, we go back on item 3, apologize to Skip. So we are on 2022, 2024 new operator license, bartender Class D operator application for Isabel Reset, bartender 322. Isabel, she's here?
This is 3, correct? Yes.
Yeah,
it's
3, yes, we go back to 3. It looks like that she's not here, so,
First non-appearance?
first time,
Correct.
well, what's your opinion? Hold it?
Hold it.
We've given grace on everyone,
Yeah, so that's,
so
Yeah,
we
we will,
will,
but-
I'll make a motion to hold till our next.
are you here? Isabel?
Hi, no, I'm Alejandro Sosa.
Okay, you can have a seat.
You can have a seat, yeah.
Okay, so the
So
motion is
there's
to
an
deny.
motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the eye have it.
That was to hold, I'm sorry for.
To hold,
Okay.
yeah.
Hold it, yes.
Do you want to go back to 1 and 2? I don't see anyone new walk in.
No, I didn't see nobody else, so we just kind of,
And, I'm
Yes.
sorry, we should be clear that this is I should have stopped you in the number 4 there, but this is before we can actually take any action on things, so you can agree on an outcome, but then, there'll be a recess meeting, we will actually vote through these items. Make sense?
They
We've done
haven't
that.
been introduced to the council. They have to be
Oh, okay,
introduced
so we
first
can't-
before you
Yeah.
can
Gotcha.
vote on them.
okay.
So there'll be actual votes later.
All right.
So we wanna move on to item 5 now. So 2022-2024 new operator license, bartender Class D operator, application for Real Light Pojida Garcia. Are you here, Garcia? She's not here either. So what's your opinion on that one?
Hold.
Do the same thing?
Yep.
Hold it?
Hold.
Did you need a motion?
No.
Or ju-
No,
we
no,
don't.
'cause we're
No,
not
we
voting,
don't.
remember?
Yeah, we just talked about it. All right, we move on to item 6, 2022-2024, new operator license, bartender Class D operator application for Lucy Borland, bartender 293, held due to non-appearance at August 2nd license and held committee meeting. Are you here tonight? She's not here. So I would like to see a motion of denial.
It wouldn't be a motion at this point, but,
Oh, yeah, I mean,
yeah.
We can take note of
we
that.
can take a note on that. So then we move on to item 7. 2022-0878, new Class B tavern license application for Yulani Le Marquis, LLC, DBA, Yulani Le Marquis, 8010 West National Avenue, agent Yuasha Wilkie, LC 22199.
Hi.
Yulani is here, right?
Yes.
How are you?
Good. How are you guys?
Good, good.
And just for the record, you are Utasha?
Yes.
Okay, Utasha Wilkes, did I pronounce
Yes.
that right?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry.
Okay. So what, I know what you're here for, but you have anything to tell us?
Yes, I am taking over Cream City that was on 80th and National. I will be, it's like an event and a class that I'll be hosting for people to come in and sip and print their own shirts, like make shirts, hats, cups. That location has already had a liquor license and a bar in it, and so I felt like I can take over by adding, my touch to it, as well as offering sip and paints and things like that, in the store.
Thank you. Any question from the committee members?
Mr. Chairman,
Chairman Vitale.
Yeah, oh.
He beat me.
Alderman Root.
the other license, this would be a subject to, would be surrendered before you get your new one, correct? Is that
Yes.
your understanding as well as mine?
Yes, Rashad, the owner of Cream City, he's moving. So he's leaving out. So this will be new for me.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
we haven't actually issued that license. It's been granted, but we didn't issue it, so he hasn't paid for it
For the t-shirt company?
for the Cream City, the previous
this-
location.
For this license period starting was it July 1st?
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
thank
so
you.
it's been granted but not issued.
because it was unpaid.
So it just would be not,
But that would have to be
Issued.
surrendered, even the.
it wouldn't have to be
not paid for
surrendered
one.
because it's not been taken. It would just be
Okay.
voided.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
I'm going to direct a couple questions to Attorney Serwin on this as well. But you caught my attention with saying that there was a bar in there. The Sips and Prints, what we're seeing a lot of businesses doing is exactly that. I'm not against you trying to have a more successful business, but a Class B, in my opinion, for a print shop doing classes, it would be hard for me to support that. I know that it was issued prior, but can you tell me about what that meant, that there's a bar in there? So who would be serving this alcohol? Where would it be ingested, you
Well,
know?
it's kind of, what I mean by that is like set up where, how the layout of the place is set up. Like, you can even call it a counter, if you will, but it's set up to where you can kind of have events where we're hosting, sip and paints, sip and prints, small events. So, where the community could come in and make their shirts and do things like that. So it's not like a club or anything like that.
Would these be private events?
Private events, people can book online, yes.
Is it open to the general public to walk in and
If-
have beverages?
If they book, nope, I'm not gonna do that with the license. You have to book for my classes, you have to book for the events in order to, come on the premises.
And what type of liquor would you be serving?
It will be wine,
Anything beyond wine?
wine or beer.
Okay. I want to bring to your attention, you're requesting a Class B. That is for full-service alcohol,
It,
correct?
I believe the application was for both the tavern license, as we call it.
Tavern
which is
license.
Beer and liquor.
So technically,
She
she
could
wouldn't
serve-
need that. She could amend that and request.
She could, correct. That would prohibit you from selling, like, mixed drinks or something along those lines.
Right.
Because that's where I was going with it. It was like, okay, Sips and Prints, when I've gone to art classes and whatnot, is usually a wine or a beer.
Yep,
You know, a seltzer, something like that.
Correct.
And you wouldn't need a class before that.
Correct. When I first applied, I applied for the wine and beer, and I was kind of instructed that I had to do the B, so
Okay.
I wanted it to be exactly what the previous owner had, which is the wine and beer.
Okay.
So the other owner, Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes.
It sounds like the previous owner might have been over-licensed if they're not selling that. So the issue is that there's a certain number of Class B tavern or the full liquor licenses, but there is not a quota from the state on Class B beer. Correct me if I'm wrong, Madam Clerk, but you would also need a Class C wine then too. It'd be a B beer and C wine.
Right, and the C wine You have to have less than 50% of your gross receipts for alcohol. So you'd have to make more than 50% of your profits have to be not alcohol.
Okay.
And it technically says restaurants, but in the state.
Okay. And so what might have happened on the previous license was to sell the beer or the wine, if they might not be able to hit the restaurants, Class C, was they probably got the Class B for the wine purposes.
Okay. I would personally like to see it amended to just beer and wine.
She- I'm not sure she could do the wine.
Can you have them restrict it to just that, though?
We can put a condition on the license, correct, and so that was
Just
gonna be
for
some of my
booking events.
suggestions is, put conditions on the license. At this point, the potential conditions could be, only for the principal business of a painting or print studio. Both are, well, the painting studio is defined in state law, principal business is defined. It could also be a condition to only hold private events and not admit general public to consume. I'm not sure about the condition for types of alcohol, but we could certainly try.
She wouldn't need a tavern license though for beer and wine, would she?
She wouldn't if she was going to apply for the restaurant Class C, but I'm not sure she could get that as a print studio. So I think that's probably why, in thinking this through, that's probably why the other owner had the Class B tavern, was for the wine purposes.
Okay, and if I may, one of the reasons I'm concerned with it is I know that we had looked at the amount of licenses we have, and I'd like to put that on record. We were under the impression that we had less than what we originally thought we had. So as the standing is right now, we have 137 licenses. 122 are issued, and there's 15 available. One of my reservations with voting to approve tavern licenses in a smaller print shop business is when there's other businesses that do come about and we don't have these licenses available, because we've given it to the smaller businesses that don't utilize it to its full capacity. Is that within reason that that we could look at that legitimately as a council, or without having a bias? I mean, legitimately wanting to know that when businesses are coming into this community, we want to make sure that they have an economic impact, that they are investing in the community, and drawing something to the community
That's
for
certainly-
visitors.
That's certainly a consideration that I think the committee should and could have, or the council in general. And so, just to clarify that, the total quota number that we have, I've identified it as 137 because right now we have 122. There's 15 available regular licenses and there's 10 available reserve
Reserves.
licenses. So our actual quota, and I don't want to confuse anybody, but our actual quota would be 137 or 147.
147.
But anything over that 137 would be the reserve quota, which requires at least $10,000.
Right.
I believe that's the right number.
Thanks for
Correct.
the clarification.
Yeah, myself, based on what she really tried to do with our business, really, I mean, again, it's not just people just walk the street, just like a regular bar, I mean, wine, if we talk about wine, I mean, to me, that's a customary in many places, really. It's not like a mixed drinks or it costs more. Wine, I mean, you can get drunk just as well. But the fact that is beer or anything else can cause just as much damage. So at this point, really, I think based on what she is looking for, I don't see any problem really for her to follow through on that, really. I'm sure she'd be successful, and I don't think she would incur any problem for the location. They should be running a business, really, I don't.
Mr. Chair?
So any question from other
Mr. Chair.
committee members?
My only issue is this could technically become a bar when they're not doing events, correct?
It could unless
Based
you
on the
put
ru- on the law.
conditions on the license, correct. If you grant it, it's automatically granted as fairly wide open. But conditions are appropriate and are under our code and under state law that we can put conditions on it. And so that was my suggestion, if you wanted to limit it to, or other other applicants even tonight or in the future, if you want to put a condition on that to operate their principal business as an event space or a banquet hall or a restaurant or a art studio, print studio, that would be one condition you put on there, and that, so their principal business has to remain that, as opposed to just converting to a nightclub or a bar or whatever they want it to be. Secondarily, you could put other conditions like restricting it to private events only, so you can't just stop in off the street or drive by and say, I wanna grab a beer at the print shop. It'd be for events generally only, right?
Yeah, that's all
Or
right.
you can maybe go in and say, do you have any spots available, and book a spot right there, and you'll be part of the private event. So you might be able to take it off the street that way, but it's not gonna be just for drinking purposes.
Right.
So with those conditions, you won't have any problem, right?
No, because that's what it's for. That's exactly what it's for.
So we can just, I think, follow based on what you said, Nick. I think we can,
And you'll have to
find
vote on
some
this, you'll have to
conditions,
vote
I
on
mean, in the
that.
future for everybody else, you know.
Basically, there's several other taverns in the vicinity, and so there, to me, that would be an overabundance of taverns as well.
There's one
And
right
I
across the
think,
street, right?
I think from our discussion, I would suggest that you probably go the route that we're indicating for you. I think it would be a little friendlier.
I'm okay with that because it's really for private events. So I'm okay with that. That was the aim that I was going for. But again, when I first applied, I think I applied for the beer and wine. But then I was told it had to be a tavern. So I was redirected to change it. If you go into the notes,
Right.
you'll see that I applied for exactly what it was for, private events, but I was told it had to be a tavern's license. So
And Mr. Chair, just to clarify that though, so she couldn't do wine then? If she converts it to a Class B beer, that would change the scenario with wine, because that's be for restaurants, and so I'm gonna make sure that everybody's aware of that.
So she couldn't get an additional,
The Class C is for
License.
Restaurants
restaurants.
only.
okay. I see. Well, I
Mr. Chair,
wouldn't-
So
I would
Mr.
not support a tavern
Alderperson
license
Road.
at this time.
what's in front of us now?
Nothing technically, but
Okay, but
discussion at only
your
at this
discussion
point.
has been wine, beer, and event only.
So right
Event
now, the
space.
actual application is for a Class B tavern, which is our own design of beer and any other alcohol. That's what the application is for.
I would like to see measures of just the beer and wine as a condition.
It can't be wine, but, well, I guess you're saying
If we give the tavern license.
tavern license.
She can have
Okay,
it, but
tavern license,
Try,
and then,
yeah.
event space only where it's not open to, whoever is walking down the street, to general public.
That can be a condition, right, and to use the principal
Those would
business.
be two of the conditions I would like to see
So any
for the
further,
Class B.
Gotcha.
any further questions from any committee members?
and we're not making a motion, I think, right now.
Not right
correct?
now.
No,
Yeah,
no,
okay.
not right now.
Okay,
So we move on to item
all right,
eight.
thank you.
Thank you.
Bless me.
So we have item 8 in front of us, 2022-0845 new Class B tavern license application, 10535 Bar LLC, give you Greenfield Takeout to 10535 West Greenfield Avenue, agent Christopher Trudeau, LLC 22197. Christopher, are you here? Oh, you guys, eh? Boy, that's great, I mean,
They were quick.
they were quick, boy, young guys. So, so what do you guys, wanna do? I mean, what's your, why you're here tonight? I know why you're here for.
The two of us are partners in a few different businesses. We have one bar restaurant existing in West Dallas, and we have a second one in Cudahy. Our West Dallas location is the Crooked Crow. We've been there 2 years now, a little over 2 years. And about a year ago, we bought the property in Cudahy. We opened up maybe 14 months ago. Since then, we've added a full kitchen down there. We just invested like 135 into a brand new kitchen. And with this space, we want to do mostly takeout focus due to the space restriction. It's definitely big enough to put some tables in. We have to lose some of the space because we have to build out 2 ADA compliant bathrooms. But it's still big enough to have multiple tables for sit down. We want to focus on takeout just so we can put more food through there. And then we will have a bar in there as well. But it's not a hangout all day kind of bar.
It's not, right?
We're not gonna put a pool table in there.
Okay. Any
Mr. Chair?
questions, committee members?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you for clarifying about the bathrooms, because I realize this is connected to the BP gas station,
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. When I visited, when it was before us to open as a restaurant, there were concerns, such
Yep.
as the entrance, exit, fire, things like that. I recall the design of it.
So,
So how did you
sorry to interrupt.
resolve those issues, or how will you?
Based off the occupiable square footage, after the bathrooms are eaten up, it needs one fire exit, which is the main front door. You don't need a secondary door. We would be willing to add a secondary door, but our architect said it's not required. That
Okay.
would just come straight out onto Greenfield Avenue. The 2 bathrooms are required for the occupancy of that space.
Correct.
The gas station only requires 1, based off its square footage. The gas station has 2. And we could redirect the door from the men's room. Instead of being in the gas station, it could be in there, but we're not gonna do that, just because potentially with the grab bars, it would cause, you have to have a circle, a certain space around the toilet, and that grab bar has to be within that. It could cause an issue with that, so we're just gonna build out 2 brand-new bathrooms.
Okay. And another concern that I had was the amount of parking.
That's why we want to focus mainly on takeout.
Okay.
It's partially the parking. There are 3 spots along Greenfield and then 3 more spots in the back. And then I believe there's 5 spots up against the building, but people come, they get gas, people go into the gas station. We can't take all those spots all day.
So with that being said, if you're focusing on takeout and people are just gonna kind of run in and run out,
It-
what
but-
would be the purpose of the tavern license?
It's part of our business model. Like, we have 2 existing kitchens. We can't support ourselves or support a new location simply on food.
Okay, so how are you going to sell the alcohol? If people are just doing
We-
takeout, you're gonna
we're
offer
not-
seats?
We're not
or-
only doing takeout. We want to focus on takeout.
Okay, okay.
But we absolutely will have tables and a bar.
Gotcha,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah.
My apologies.
No,
I
it's
was
okay.
thinking that it was just going to be takeout.
The
so you
reason that
will be
we
able
want to focus and push takeout more is so we can put more food through there.
Okay,
We do takeout and a decent amount of takeout in West Dallas. We don't do that much takeout yet in Cudahy, mostly because our kitchen only opened a few months ago, but we are getting there.
okay.
Yeah, from what I've seen, you guys really, I mean, because the previous, applicant, I think, was not really come forward with better proposal. I mean, I think you're doing a lot better
At-
job, the way I see it,
In the 2 years we've been here in West Dallas,
Yeah.
we bought that property in
March.
March of 2020.
2020,
yeah.
And we took a few months to remodel, but then we opened.
The bar that,
Sure.
I have that.
So any further questions?
Mr. Chair?
Since we opened, what I was saying
No,
is
this was
we've
the-
had
remember when
0
they-
issues with
They wanted the restaurant.
any
that's
police
attached to
issues,
the gas
nothing.
station. It's in your district. It's on the other
And
side of Greenfield.
we have,
The BP
sorry,
gas
the,
station. That
we're
little-
tied for the highest rated bar in West Dallas. Like, we've shown over time that we can run,
The one that.
we can reasonably run an establishment in this community.
I'll see if I can.
Yes.
The door that was between the gas station and the restaurant, is that still there?
So it's a vestibule, right? There's 2 doors that come into the square, and then 2 doors, one that goes in the gas station, one that goes into the restaurant.
Okay.
But all 4 of those doors exist. So if you entered into that vestibule, you could go into either.
Highway under.
Okay,
150.
okay. For some reason, I thought when we were discussing this earlier that there was a door that
Yeah.
you could
Was
go in
the-
from
the
the gas
previous-
station into
yes,
the
before.
restaurant
Yeah.
right away, so.
Yeah.
You could
That's all I was
exit
asking.
into there and then go straight in.
Bathroom.
Mr.
Yeah,
Chair,
yes,
They'll
Alderman
have a
Road.
kitchen. They're gonna focus on takeout. 'cause
this
it's
is directed to
smaller.
anybody.
Still
Does
going
the
to have-
B, it's a
We're
BP,
going
right?
to
Yeah.
make it into a
Don't they have
tavern.
some sort of liquor license in the gas station as well?
They have a
Tavern,
Class
it'll be
A,
restaurant,
but the
price
separate
is
occupancy,
No, I understand that.
with
okay,
the dentist.
doesn't cause an issue.
Yeah.
As far as state code,
It's
not that it
too
wouldn't
common
cause an issue
to consider the
with
tavern.
anything else.
So the food would really have to be the draw.
So any further questions?
Why
the-
would you want to serve liquor in that bar?
We can't, with food, the amount of food costs that we've had, right? We've watched food costs go up and we've raised our menu prices multiple times. But at our place here in Cudahy, we're mainly, or sorry, not in Cudahy, in West Dallas, we're mainly sustained by our liquor sales. we certainly sell food and people come in to get our food. We have highly rated food. Our bar overall is well rated. We don't have any issues, but we can't, it's not worth opening up another establishment to just have food. The amount that we have to pay, our cost just for a cook in the past year has gone up over 50%. And that doesn't even include the cost of food.
This location, is this the, it had a restaurant connected to basically the station,
It's a,
but it didn't have a bathroom in.
correct.
Is that the same station I'm thinking of?
Yep.
Yeah.
So we're
Right now, it's not,
it's nothing.
it's not.
It's just,
not
it's
used
vacant.
as a,
Yeah, it's
a
vacant.
restaurant. So
We'll-
you want to turn it into a takeout restaurant with
and-
liquor
And bar.
and a bar?
And sitting area too, just as well.
But the people can come in and order drinks then?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I have another question. So since you have limited parking, how are you gonna handle if you get too many people and you're now taking up parking spaces that aren't, like, technically aren't yours because they belong to the BP?
Well, we're leasing from the owner of the BP, so that would be a conversation, I guess, between him and us.
Okay.
But there are still, I believe, 12 spaces on the property.
Okay.
And there's not a ton of, there's certainly space for people to sit down, people to sit at a bar, but it's not a huge space.
Okay.
Capacity will be pretty low.
Yeah, this gentleman,
Okay.
go ahead.
Yes, I know the facility really well. As a matter of fact, I came in and helped the BP with their license on the security issues that were involved. I've been inside the closed restaurant that's there, and it's really small. So the amount of people that would be staying there is going to be very limited. So the amount of alcohol and beer that they would sell there is going to be small compared to other bars, because of the amount of actual floor space they're gonna have left after they put in the 2 bathrooms.
Mr. Chair, if I could.
Yes,
So is the primary business going to be restaurant or tavern or bar? Or can you not identify that at this point?
I would say tavern bar, and we want to push our takeout food.
Okay.
so any further questions from the committee members?
How many tables do you plan on setting up in that little space?
I think we can fit 6 tables.
I'm sorry?
I think we could fit 6 high top tables, so 4 people.
6?
Yes. The bar is, there's already a counter where they used to ring people up at when it was a restaurant that started with an A. I don't remember the name of it. But that counter will be removed and turned into a bar. So basically, if you're sitting at the bar, behind you is the square window that comes from the kitchen. So you'll have that bar, that's not taking up any more space. You'll have stools in front of that, probably 8 stools. It's not a very long bar. And then you'll have just high top tables.
Is there parking available on the street?
I don't think you're allowed to park on Greenfield
No, we're not
Avenue.
allowed to park on the street, but there's plenty of parking in the evening hours where people mostly go out to dine.
It's
There's,
very crowded.
There's a bank right next door that has a huge parking lot that could accommodate any overflow. So I don't see that as parking as a problem. Because people park there anyway, and then they go into the BP. So it's not like it's not being used already.
Mr. Chair, if I may.
Yes, Alderman Christian.
I just want to add my 2 cents. I think this is a unique opportunity for you. This has been a vacant space for some time. Being you have a business here, you've invested in the community, you still want to invest in the community, I would support this. And I just wanted to clarify that with the committee.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Because it's better to have you in that business than it to remain vacant. I think it will help cross-promote each other's business. You will get visitors who come to the gas station. I know that when it was a restaurant prior to, a lot of the patrons of the gas station appreciated having food. So I think, based on the size, like you said, I think you could make a go of it there. And there should be adequate parking based on the size of the building.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Alderman Rowe.
I, for one, I don't know how the other members feel. I cannot support this in a gas station. We've had a few gas stations that have got the beer licenses, but not a full-blown bar.
But this is.
So I will,
Yeah, let him finish, you know, if you don't
I will
mind.
be not supporting it, and I'll put it in the form of a motion to deny this application.
There are no motions.
There's no motions.
Oh, that's at
There's
the
no
phone.
motion, nothing
Okay.
right now.
All right, well, you know how I stand.
And Mr. Chair, if I just may say, based on what we have already seen as a committee, when the owner of BP came and wanted to turn that into a restaurant, knowing the history that we have with fire and whatnot, you're making it ADA compliant. It's a separate entity of the business. It just happens to be located there. And that there is no entrance from the gas station to the business. You have to have your business door. They enter into a business. So I wouldn't feel it to be any different than a separate entity business in a strip mall, for example. So.
It is a completely
That is
separate
my
entrance.
counter argument on that.
You know, based, you know, what they're doing, I think, for what I seen, you know, they've done even with just with the food, you know, they've done good, you know, so, I mean, the trend is changing today, you know, I mean,
I know.
years ago, we used to have a lot of corner bars, you know, people used to come out from work, you know, and that's where they used to spend their life, you know. That's why a lot of people, they used to broke up their marriage, on and on. But today, their life is changing, you know, so many places that like you, you come forward, and I agree. If you don't have that liquor license, you cannot survive, you know, I mean, that's the way it is. I wanna be straightforward, I don't like to beat around the bushes, you know, so I feel that, I'll be in favor for your, applications, you know, to get the license. Go ahead, ma'am.
Yes, another thing to note is in that cubicle that they were talking about. Now, I know for a fact, because I know the people that own BP station, I know for a fact that they keep that door secure. So the only admittance would be from the main entrance to the bar. So it would make it a lot more segregated from the gas station.
Thank you.
You
So at this time,
indicated,
we move on to
Mr.
the-
Chair?
yes.
You indicated that you're leasing this portion of the building.
Yes.
I see. So you haven't purchased the gas station?
No,
You're just leasing?
correct.
Okay. I do have a
ahead.
problem.
That lease is,
Yes.
that lease would,
I commend you on the business that you have. You have a very successful business right now in West Dallas, and that's appreciated. However, I do have a little problem with the liquor that you want to distribute.
our lease
Maybe
our lease with the gas station owner is contingent on us getting these licenses. And we don't feel that it's worth our effort and investment to open another restaurant if it doesn't include that. So we won't take on this lease if we end up not getting this.
I see. Well,
Mr.
thank you
Mayor.
for clarifying that.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to speak on behalf, I don't know these guys, but the Crooked Crow has been fantastic, and people rave about their food. And their business model as a bar restaurant has been very successful, and I think they said earlier, I was listening on YouTube, that they've never had incidents. It's been a very low-key, successful place, so I think that this would be good. I always go to the Vietnamese place across the street, and I've always wondered when that's gonna get a tenant, and I think that this would be a good thing for that side of town, to have something independent, especially so close to the Highway 100 corridor, that would be not a chain. And, you know, I'm just speaking on behalf of what I've been to the Crooked Crow carryout, like I think you mentioned earlier, a couple times. And they run a very successful and just event, like hassle-free operation there. So I think that should be considered when we vote. That's just my 2 cents.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
if I may, I just, real quick question. So this is for the full Class B, being alcohol, beer, wine, and liquor. How much or to what extent do you think liquor will be involved in the business model? And I guess secondarily, do you think you would be functional with wine and beer only?
At our current location, our food makes up about 35% of our total sales. And I would expect that to be higher here. But, I mean, just being a spot where people can come in and sit down and just have a drink, if that's what they want to do, I would request that we have the full alcohol license.
Very good. Just wondering. Thank you.
So, thank
Thank
you.
you.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
what percentage do you anticipate having of the
Well,
the
in
beer,
order,
wine, and the liquor?
in order to make this place
Right.
just busier in general, we would
Yes.
need to put more food through it. So I would assume it would be closer to 50-50.
I see.
I'm just I'm not sure. Just at our current place, it's 30%.
Okay. Thank you.
So, thank you for coming, you know. So now we move to item
You
9.
can't vote right now, but it's gonna be during the recess meeting.
Yeah, recess, we're gonna act upon, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. So now we move on to item 9, 2022-0877. New reserve Class B tavern license application for Phoenix 360 LLC DBA, Phoenix 360 1505 South 108th Street, agent Rashida Moss. Yes,
Hi,
Rashida.
Miss Moss.
Hi, I am coming back again. Last time I came, we were just starting, it wasn't that long ago. But we were able to obtain our occupancy permit. There were some issues initially, but we were able to get those figured out, and the building owner of Carpetland helped out a lot. They're building an additional bathroom, and with that, we can have occupancy for up to 119 guests. So the business, once again, is a venue. It's a private venue. It's not a bar. We don't want to be a bar. We don't want to be a tavern. I'm a designer. I like to design. And we also have, of course, our 360 photo booth. So we have had some events already, and we have a good kind of like turnout of people who want to have events there, because there is nothing else like it in West Dallas or the Milwaukee County. We are the only venue that also enables people to have this 360 photo booth and selfie booth that is very highly sought. People who go to other event venues, they want it, but the event venue doesn't have it. It's a lot to run it. It takes a lot of software and some knowledge with photography. So they have to go to a third party and kind of purchase it and have them come into the venue. That costs anywhere from $900 and up just to have it for a couple hours. We do it in-home, in our venue, because we have it already set up. We have wiring already set up for it, and we're able to provide it for a lower cost, and people can still have their events, as well as take advantage of the 360 photo booth and our selfie booth. So we have had a great, so far, turnout, even within the little bit of time that we have opened up. I came back because we have events scheduled going out into January, February right now for West Dallas, and some of those events are micro weddings. People who want to have a wedding for about 60 guests or 75 guests, and it's typically at weddings they want to have like a toast or things like that. We can't even do that because we don't have the ability without having a liquor license. And like I said, this is all private events. We are not trying to be a bar. We are not open to the public at all. Everyone who books with me is privately booking with me. They're doing consultations with me. They're going over decorations, designs. This is something that is specific for a particular party. It's just geared towards the person who books and what they want and their design and their decor. So this is definitely not anyone coming from off the street. It's like, if you had a small wedding, you're not going to want anyone just coming off the street to
be in your wedding. So this is the reason why we want the liquor license, because it will enable us to provide these services for people who want the venue, want the 360, and also want to do some drinking, maybe with their meal, or even a champagne toast. We even have like a champagne wall that we had it custom made, and we can't use it because we are not even able to do a toast. So that's why we're.
Thank you. I like what you explained to us. Any questions?
Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Thank you for coming back. I know there was a lot of confusion, and I just want to point out the fact that some of my reasoning last time you appeared was the fact that we thought we had more limited liquor licenses, obviously, and that was one of my reasons. However, you've made a very good point in expressing what your goals are for a business. You do mention, at least in your email to us, in your summary of business, was that the gauge, we'll use that as an example. So in your design, like you said, you've got a champagne wall. You'll have a bar. It's not anyone coming in bringing their own food. It's all catered. You will have the liquor. You'll be responsible for the liquor, the storage, and the servicing of the liquor, correct?
Absolutely, and we're not even open outside of private events.
Okay.
Ever.
All right. And another concern that I had initially was, and this is probably because you weren't quite set up as an event space, that you stated, am I incorrect in saying that it was 75% of your business was on location at the time?
Right.
So this will bring, as you stated, the business to you. You won't have to be out on location as often.
Correct.
Okay. All right. With that, I would show support for you. I think that it would offer you a great opportunity to succeed in business.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, hold on.
could we do this the same way as we did the other one with the condition of making sure it's in there, written in there, only events?
Correct, yes, and that was gonna be one of my suggestions is, if there's establishments like these event spaces, which are becoming more popular, and you don't want it to be potentially converted to a bar, then yes, my recommendation and a little point of clarification I had on that little agenda review was something along the lines of a condition on the license that license not be used for the general public and only used for private events or those patrons engaged in private events or something along those lines.
Right,
Okay.
okay.
So any further questions?
No?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
you hold these events at other places other than this location? Or do you just have the events at this particular location?
So we only have our events at this particular location. Sometime people will, because the 360 photo booth that we have is so highly sought out, people will ask if we can come to their venue with just our 360 photo booth. And if we
Right.
have the ability to do it and we are not booked up with events, we will. So we do go out, like for instance, we've been to the Gauge several times because people want the 360 photo booth.
Right.
So we will go with our 360 photo booth, but that has nothing to do with our liquor license. We don't bring that over.
You don't carry that with you when you go
Absolutely
to
not.
another event?
No,
And
just
the
our
liquor license
360.
couldn't, the liquor license is tied to a premises.
I see. Thank you for clarifying
So
that.
any more questions? We
Mr.
can move
Chair,
on. Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I just want a point of clarification. Ms. Moss is asking for a reserve license. Can that be amended
Be amended
here, or
live,
should we
correct.
amend that on the floor?
It could be amended live as you are discussing and voting on it. You can amend what she's actually applying for. So yes, that's
At
it.
recess.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And you understand that you wouldn't need a reserve license. You would have one of the licenses that are available, so there
Yes,
wouldn't
ma'am.
be that reserve license fee.
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we move on to,
Item 10, we're gonna hold until next meeting.
yeah, we're gonna hold that one.
Yep.
But then we can move on to, item 11. New Class B tavern license application for 6,500 blocks. Capital Group LLC DBA Lounge 6,500 West Clifford Avenue. Agent Crystal Strong. LLC 22198. So I know,
Mr.
Crystal.
Chair, I'm sorry. There was documents that were provided. I believe Kale dropped them off, and so that was an email that came through around 5:20 or so. Just want to make sure everyone has that.
Okay. So, anything changed since, like, last time we talked to you, or
No, nothing
No.
has changed.
last time actually we had a meeting, you know?
Yes,
Yeah.
so, no, nothing has changed. Still want to be a full-service, casual dining restaurant that's with a full-service bar as well.
So is the lounge, and then you say you're gonna have music, right?
Yes, sir.
So, based on that, you know, and you're gonna be, I mean, who, you know, that's a question, you be the sole owner of the, license, of course, your name is on it.
Yes.
But who's, anybody else behind the scene that has ownership?
No, I have 100% ownership.
So there is no second owner, right?
No, sir.
Because sometimes rumors flies, you know?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
there is a separate owner of the building. Crystal is looking to lease
The-
the.
Listen from the owner, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Just for clarification.
So the owner, he be out of completely, doesn't have no control over your license, right, or your business?
Correct. So we do have what we call a percentage lease. Only because I was the real estate agent for the purchase of the building as well. And we weren't aware of the renovations needed for that building. So the renovations may be about over $200,000. So, we did a percentage lease so he can recoup some of the money for the restaurant because it was my idea when he purchased the building. So for maybe a year or two, and we haven't finalized it yet, we'll do a percentage lease, but the business is 100% me.
Thank you. Any questions
Mr. Chair.
from the committee members?
What is your experience in bartending?
So I ran a tavern in the Bronzeville area in Milwaukee for 6 years. I was operations manager.
Okay, and you left it, why?
Well, for one, I'd rather run a restaurant than a tavern. Nightlife really isn't for me. And they switched owners.
So who's gonna be running it if you're not into running a bar?
Well, it's a restaurant. It's just a restaurant with a full.
Oh, it's not?
No.
Oh, okay, my
It's
apologies.
just a restaurant with full service.
Okay, my apologies.
Yeah, it's not a full
Got that.
bar, you know?
Hey, Mr. Chair, if I could, again, this might be an example of one where you wanna put a condition on the license to operate as a restaurant or something along those lines for the principal or primary business.
Okay.
So that's up to the committee. Any questions, Alderperson Rosalie?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
could you tell me, has this been a troubled bar in the past?
It had been, I do believe we went through our vacation process at some point for this bar because of a shooting that took place.
Right.
I know the whole area, has undergone some change recently with the strip club across the street being shut down.
The 64
So, yes, at some point there was problems. It was during my time here, but probably 3 or 4 years ago, I wanna say, ish.
Yeah, but for years. Yeah. Yeah, that was,
It was a shooting and a huge fight, yeah.
yeah, the second license holder, I mean, when the father had it, it was running, I think, more efficient, like clean, you know? But then when the son took over, which, you know, it's over now, so we got somebody new now that she's looking for the Class B license. So any questions? If you don't, I have a citizen that he asked me if we could address some, he lives north of 65th and Greenfield. Mark, would you like to say something briefly? I mean, less than 5 minutes.
I appreciate that. I'll talk quick.
Yes,
I appreciate you giving me the chance to speak.
sure.
I have spoken many times regarding this property over the years. It has gone through a lot of owners and a lot of trouble. I don't know Crystal, I don't know the owner of the building except for what I found out on the internet. Everybody who has applied for that license in the past, after Scotty, including Scotty, has sat in front of this committee and blatantly lied. They paint you a pretty picture, and it's not reality. They're gonna tell you what you want to hear to get the license. After that, you know, there's gotta be a shooting to get the license revoked. I don't wanna go through that again. For the last 15 years, it's been noise, it's been violence, it's been litter, it's been shootings, it's been everything. Just because it says 6,500 on the bar, on the side of the building, doesn't mean it has to be a bar. There's been a lot of massage parlors in West Allis. Just because the building held a massage parlor doesn't mean we want another one. And I don't know if people are calling you aldermen or any of you aldermen saying that that's what this city needs is more taverns. I don't believe for 1 minute that this building can operate, can run a legitimate restaurant. We've all seen the kitchen. You guys must have seen the kitchen. It's wings and appetizers at best. It is going to be a tavern. You can call it a lounge, you can call it a pub, you can call it whatever you want. You put lipstick on a pig, it's still gonna be a pig. It is a troubled, and I heard the word today, nuisance, or habitual was the word. This has been an habitual nuisance property that does not need to be a bar anymore. The research I've done, I need to ask you, is this Montrell standing behind me, sitting behind me? No. No. Okay. The owner of this business, here's some of his history. Possess with intent for cocaine, Class G felony. Restricting or obstructing a Class an officer. Fleeing and eluding an officer. Manufacturing and delivering heroin. Class F felony. I mean, these are all, and this is the basis of issuing them another liquor license.
Yeah, see, the question is, Mark, you know, we have to use some discretions based on the law, you know? I mean, she's the applicant, you know, I mean, like I said, and I appreciate your concern, and that's why, you know, I said to you, you can come and speak, but the fact is that she's the applicant. If this man is the owner of the building, you know, we don't really have, we have to be cautious how we follow through on these cases, really. I mean, it's not the question, if she had reasons or records in her background, you know, but then we can looking at her, you know.
I do
But we
understand
cannot,
that.
you know, we cannot really, by law, we cannot just look at him. I mean, if he has, he owns the property, well, I mean, and he leasing to this person, well, and she applied for, well, we have to focus on her license, you know, I mean.
I do understand that,
records,
Mr.
you know.
Chairman. I definitely
So-
do. I also want you to consider,
So,
please consider
Yeah, I
that.
don't think she's gonna, I mean, based on what she, it's not gonna be direct a bar where people is going to, I understand that she's gonna have food, I believe that she's gonna present us with a menu, you know, just as well.
Mr. Chair?
That's what I mean, I wanna make sure that we do the right thing.
May I-
Mr. Chair?
Yeah, she wanna say something.
Give me one moment.
Yeah.
If we may defer to Attorney Serwin, also keeping in time that our council meeting is going to begin in
10
just
minutes.
a matter of 10 minutes.
Yeah.
This is unique that we would have a neighbor speak at the License and Health meeting. So I would just like to defer to Attorney Serwin
Yes.
as to what the protocol would be and should be when it comes to that, because you're mentioning legalities, and this is the person that we take our legal advice
Yes.
from.
And Alderman Vitale did call me in advance and ask whether that'd be appropriate. I said he's the committee chair, and he basically controls who can and cannot speak or address the committee. In terms of information that could or should be considered, I would rely less on speculative information and more on kind of operation and restricting or controlling a license with conditions or basically legislation or what you guys can do in committee to make sure that it's operating in a way that you would envision. If there is, it is pretty settled law, and I'm comfortable in proceeding that if there is, it'd be just as easy as going in and making sure that's operating as a restaurant. And if it's not, if it's only a tavern or a nightclub or a dancing hall or whatever could be converted to, if that condition is on a license, I'd be comfortable moving forward on a revocation process on that alone. It's in our code, it's in the state code, I'm not worried about that.
Okay, thank
Mr.
you.
Chair,
Yes, all Mr. Fisk.
if you're doing this as a restaurant, what's the reason why you're open up until 1 AM?
To be competitive, because most of the restaurants in the area close at 11.
Mr. Chair, I have another question, if that's okay.
Yes.
You're also applying for a entertainment license, correct?
No.
A public, I believe I thought that was on there for live music and or DJs.
Oh, well, they asked me for a percentage, so I did 50% food, 50% drinks, and 10% entertainment, because I'm into the arts. So maybe some spoken word, maybe some rhythm and blues, live music.
So the committee has the discretion to grant or not to grant any license, any new license that comes before them. Would you still find your business plan operational or functional without that live entertainment aspect of it, at least right now?
Yes.
So would you go along with that, right?
I'm sorry?
With no live music at this time,
Oh,
right?
yes, I would.
So that's where we at. So we gotta move on right now, and, so any more questions?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
what percentage of the business will be a restaurant?
I did a 50-50, but I did that under the pretense that everybody that ordered a meal would buy a drink. So, it's hard to say.
The restaurant will be in the.
Maybe about
in the-
70%.
In the. In the beginning, in the front of the facility, or the back of the facility?
So the restaurant would be in the entire facility, so, in
The
our.
restaurant will be the entire facility.
Correct, so we
I
have a
see.
bar with 12 seats, but then we also have 58 seats and I believe 18 tables for the restaurant.
Okay, and, it's a large building. Do you plan on living on site?
No, ma'am.
Okay, what do you plan on doing with the upper part of the facility?
That has not been decided yet, but it will not be part of the restaurant.
And you understand that, so that might be something to look forward to or look at is what the premises entails. And so you could limit the premises to the first floor or something along those lines, so alcohol can't be served or brought onto subsequent floors or whatever it may be. So just another option to be clear.
I thought it would be like a living quarter, right? I mean, that's,
The owner flirted with the idea of it being Airbnb, a co-working space, but as far as I know, he hasn't really decided.
thanks, Mark.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. But,
Okay.
anything else?
No.
So,
So
we
when
can.
you,
Go ahead.
Mr. Chair, I'm sorry, so when you lease this building, you will lease it in its entirety? The whole building,
No, just the first floor.
just the first floor?
Yes.
So, do we have to indicate that then?
I would say so, just to be safe, yeah. So if it's approved, and any conditions or anything that go on it, the premises, there'd be a stipulation or an agreement that the premises is only the first floor of XYZ address, 6500.
Do we have to state that?
I would ask you to, yes. Otherwise, it's the entire building of that could
Right,
be used
well,
for
that
that purpose.
would be concerning. Okay,
Yeah, that was my question just as well, so that's why.
thank you.
So if we, at this point, we're going to come back at recess, and then, we'll make the, final, decision,
Okay, thank you.
okay? Thank you,
Thank you.
thank you. So anything else come forward to the, committee members?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
What are these people here? Are you here for license and health?
Yeah, no,
Oh, okay.
That's in the other committee, council.
Okay. Well, I made my motions.
Second.
All in favor of the motion of
To adjourn.
Aye.
adjourn?
Aye.
Favors? Opposed? The aye have it. Thank you, guys.
So Alderman Catali,
Right.
Good evening. We will call the September 6th meeting of the Common Council to order, and I will ask our clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Grisham. Here. Haas.
Here.
Keen. Here. Lysick.
Here.
Ranky. Here. Rote.
Here.
Stefanski.
Here.
Tenorio.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Alderman Weigel is excused this evening.
9 present, 1 excused.
Quorum is present. Please rise if you are able and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led this evening by Alderperson Grisham.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will move on to item D on our agenda. We have 5 public hearings this evening, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 1.
Resolution relative to the determination for a conditional use permit for AS Towing LLC, a proposed light motor vehicle service use to be located at 5225 West Electric Avenue.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Common Council members. This is a proposed use at 52nd and Electric Avenue. Surrounding uses are commercial and light industrial in nature. The Union Pacific Railroad is also intersecting Electric Avenue just to the east. The property is zoned light manufacturing, M1, and light automobile and vehicle service facilities are considered conditional uses within our zoning ordinance, thus prompting the need for a public hearing. There are currently automotive repair tenants within the building, and there's a new property owner. The new property owner is bringing in a towing business, and they'll combine the auto repair and the towing business together and work together. As such, the conditional use is required. In inspecting the site at the onset of the application, there were a number of problems with the property in terms of parking within the street, a vehicle repair facility, an oversupply of cars. In other words, 6 cars and probably about 6 parking stalls and probably about 15 cars on site and spilling out into the street. So staff has worked with the existing owner of the site to prepare a site plan to help bring some control to the site. In other words, there's also been an off-site remote site that's been that the owner has that will be used for the longer-term vehicle parking and storage needs. So the root issue was that overcrowding of vehicles on the site, and what's come to be is a little bit more of a cleanup, as we've seen in the past several weeks and actually a month or so. This went to Plan Commission back in June and was held, and then followed up, came back in July, and in working with the owner, we could see a progression towards improvement. So with that, the owner, one of the solutions was to have a remote site. And they have a remote site in Milwaukee on North 40th Street, which will be used to house some of the longer-term storage of vehicles. So the business will be transporting vehicles that are in need of repair to this site for repair work. They won't be kept on site. On this site, it is for long-term. This is the site plan that's been prepared. It's sort of a mock-up of something that was approved several years ago. The landscaping beds are existing, and those under the old ownership have sort of fallen into disrepair and will be replenished with new landscaping and cleaned up. In addition, there are about 7 parking stalls on the site. Those will be primarily used for just the quick turnover of vehicles, day in and day out. Again, the longer term will be kept in Milwaukee. And there have been a couple of objections. The nearby neighbor, the commercial tenant, was concerned about the aesthetics. Their property had to go through a similar procedure for site landscaping and architectural. They made improvements to their site, and they wanted to ensure that this property was also going to be kept up to that standard. In addition, there was some concerns from the neighborhood about spillover into the street and just keeping it organized for future enjoyment of and success of other people's businesses within the area. So the Plan Commission did take this up last month on August 24th, and they did make a recommendation for approval. There are a number of conditions within that approval of the Plan Commission, which are reflected in the resolution this evening. And I'm happy to go into any of these at any point with you this evening if there's questions. But one of the, or some of the things include a privacy fence along Electric Avenue to help screen the view into the side of that parking lot. It will also help screen the refuse area. And then overnight tow company vehicles will not be parked in the street. They'll have to be parked on the site. So there won't be overnight street parking of tow trucks or commercial vehicles within the street. Third, there's a off-site or remote location for longer-term storage of vehicles. And then all repair work will have to be done inside the building. It can't be done in the lot or again in the street. And then the overhead bay doors should be kept closed during more intensive operations that could generate sound to the immediate surrounding neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you for the presentation. Are there any questions from the Common Council on public hearing number 1? Alderman Rowe.
Sorry. Is there a time frame for any of those conditions? Right out, I mean, item A, for the fence?
Yeah, the fence would be installed this fall, this year. So it wouldn't be a future. As soon as we could time it with their occupancy, so that as they're seeking occupancy permit, we could be requiring the fence.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Okay, seeing none, are there any questions from the members of the audience on public hearing number 1? If there are, please come up to the podium. And then please give us your name and address for our official record. I think if you just push the button with the little person on it, the green light will come on. These are kind of new. There we go.
I'm Debbie O'Brien, and I'm at 5300 West Lincoln. We're the business that is kind of in the back. Our front is on Lincoln, but our back is on Electric Avenue. And we just have a couple of concerns. One of them, obviously it looks like it was addressed with the installation of a fence from an aesthetic standpoint. Now, in one of the meetings, someone had indicated, it was one of the meetings that you had, that it didn't, front Lincoln, but that it did come up against Electric. So we kind of would, encourage and are happy to see that there's some talk of a fence, just to block. It looks kind of like a junkyard. It really looks aesthetically pretty bad. But the concern that we have is every day their vehicles continue to take up street parking, and they block our UPS and
yeah, they block our driveway. 2 of their cars are parked in our driveway, so our UPS driver has to go over the sidewalk on the 3rd part of the driveway and back in. Even tonight as we were coming over, one of the cars is still in our driveway. It's just constantly there. And maybe we could ask them to move all those cars onto Mobile Street or something. There's not a lot of traffic there. It wouldn't block our driveway. And the overriding concern tends to be snow removal. And as the plows would come up, because they do leave them overnight constantly. The truck that's in the picture has been there for a month and a half, the pink one. But the snow removal, we're concerned that the plow will just come up and then have to deviate into the through traffic, and that'll just create more snow piling up on our driveway when we're having our snow plow, or our snow being removed by our service, that kind of a thing. So I think the cars on the street are the overriding
yeah,
concern.
just because again it impedes our freight deliveries, our UPS deliveries, and it would be our the farthest from the east. We have a freight door that they
Closest to their building.
Yeah, closest to their building. But again, as Mike had said, the concern is that when winter comes, the plow is going to come through it, and if they continue to leave their vehicles out on the street, the plow just doesn't have enough clearance to swing around, and the snow is going to constantly, when the need arises, it'll just be left in front of our access for our UPS and our freight deliveries. But again, I'm glad to see the fence suggestion. But again, it's just, those vehicles just never seem to move. There's constantly tow trucks. They also do park them on is it Mobile? Mobile Street. So, you know, my concern, I don't know what they're looking to, if they're looking to bring in more vehicles. I just think they seem to be at a max right now.
Just wanted you to consider
Yeah,
that.
those are the two things that are of concern.
Thank you. I don't know, Steve, if you have anything to respond to that or work with the applicant?
Yeah, actually, those very concerns were all the, I guess, the reason for the conditions in the special use resolution this evening, and they were presented to the Planning Commission tonight to the council. So I would encourage both property owners, you know, the new property owner, as well as, you know, existing property owners with the neighborhood businesses to let's talk to each other and find out what the solutions could be to make sure everybody's, you know, happy and thriving in the neighborhood, not creating a problem for someone else.
Thank you. Any other people from the Alderman Vitale? Thank you, Alderman Vitale. Any other questions from the members of the audience on public hearing number 1?
Mayor Devine.
Alderperson Keene?
Steve, what are they operating as now? What is the business currently?
It's a good question. It's on the tip of my tongue, but it is an existing auto repair business that's in there now, and I'll have to follow up with you after.
So what is if it's already an auto repair, what is the resolution to propose light motor vehicle service?
Yeah, so there's an existing auto repair use in there, and then the other business, the owner's business that owns the property now, is also bringing auto repair, light auto repair, as well as the towing.
So he wants to,
right.
okay, I see.
Yeah.
So are the vehicles that are currently parked on the street and having issues owned by whoever this D-Bay is gonna be, or what's currently in operation? Are these two separate businesses or one?
They're two separate businesses, but I guess all of them would be controlled under this special use for the property. The conditional use runs with the property, so it would behoove both businesses, I guess, to follow the use limitations of this site. It's a small site. There's not a big parking lot. They do have a lot of cars in this picture here and, you know, in here. So it has improved. I haven't been out there today, but, you know, it is something we have been monitoring over the past month or so since the first Plan Commission meeting.
So is that a shared parking lot between the current light auto repair and what will be the new?
Right, yes. So the new owner has a separate remote site in Milwaukee for parking. They can park, if they have vehicles that are going to be here for a longer period of time, something that they can't handle in a day or two, they won't be located here. They'd be stored on another remote site in Milwaukee and then brought in as they'd be ready to be worked on.
So the pink truck that hasn't moved is not for this business, it's for the...
It is, I'm of the understanding, I'd have to follow up with the owner, but I'm understanding it is sort of a project truck. I think it's a food truck or some sort, but I don't know the full story behind that, but it has been there on occasions and not on sometimes, but.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Anybody else from the audience with questions on public hearing number 1?
Mayor Devine.
Alderperson Reinke.
Steve, could you maybe explain the repercussions if, basically, if these conditions aren't met or they're not followed?
Yeah, I mean, the
And
typical.
also, did you indicate the hours of operation?
Oh, yeah, hours of operation are daytime hours, and I can look those up here. Those are 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Sunday, so 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. So, and that includes the typical, auto repair, everything from oil changes to, tire changes, some small light engine work on vehicles. And then to your other question was, the first question was, can you repeat that?
The repercussions.
Yeah. Well, it would start out, if after, a violation of the special use, they would be sent a notice and order and given a certain short window of time to remedy that. And if it's not remedied, it would be sent to municipal court, a summons and complaint process, and could ultimately end up in the termination of the conditional use permit as well. Worst case.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions from, I guess, the members of the audience or the council on this item for public hearing? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 1, and we will move to public hearing number 2, and I will ask the clerk to read that out.
Resolution relative to the determination for a conditional use permit for XLAC Biosciences, a proposed research laboratory to be located at 662 South 94th Place.
Thank you. Mr. Scher.
Thank you, Mayor. XLOC Biosciences is a research and development company. They're currently located in the Medical College of Wisconsin, and they're a small entrepreneurial business, biosciences business that is spreading its wings. They own this property at 662 94th Place, and they are researching proteins and other scientific things that I wouldn't be able to pronounce, but basically anti-inflammatories to alleviate symptoms of, certain health issues such as psoriasis, arthritis, and some other things. And there's sort of a continuing trend there that they're working towards these therapies that could even expand into, solutions or, health solutions beyond just psoriasis and so on. So it is an existing building, and they are going to be locating here. The property is zoned C3, community commercial, and research labs are considered special or conditional uses within that zoning district. The activities within the building, again, sort of cultivation of bacteria that's engineered to produce certain specific proteins, which are used in the health fields. And basically, the bacteria that's being used is sort of a widely used strain that doesn't pose a health risk to the surrounding community or people. The development of therapies for, again, psoriasis and psoriatic arthritis, and their approach holds potential to follow-up therapies such as MS, multiple sclerosis. And again, the activities will not produce noise, fumes, odors, or other waste or disturbances, which will be noticed by people in the area. Nearby to the immediate south is a residential home, and then across the street is a light manufacturing business. To the north are other commercial businesses. The hours of operation are daytime hours between 8 and 5 p.m. And one of the things they're going to be doing within the building is updating, converting some of the old offices within this space in the gold color to lab area. So the building is roughly about right around 2,000, maybe a little bit less than 2,000 square feet. The area of conversion is about 500 square feet of office, or office to lab. So Planning Commission has recommended approval at the last meeting. We've received no objections to date, and thank you. Any questions?
Thank you, Mr. Scher. Are there any questions from the Common Council on public hearing number 2?
Mr. Mayor?
Alderman Stefanski.
In their stipulations, are there anything that says that they can't do any kind of testing or research on anything that would cause something like what happened with COVID, that type of thing?
That is not in the or the conditional use resolution. What we know is that the objections, what they're doing here isn't going to create vibration, sound, noise, or disturb the surrounding neighborhood or community. Beyond that, what they're doing within the building is health related. I can't really speak to it much further. I believe there may be an applicant here this evening that could maybe elaborate a little bit more to answer the question. And if not, we can certainly follow up with you on that.
Yeah, if you could, because I wouldn't want to see something like that going on here in the city.
If I may, one of their, I guess, dealing with different bacteria that they have, it's sort of akin to what Chris Hansen does. I mean, working in their case, working with cultures, developing natural colorings and so on. So they're similar processes, not intended to create another pandemic.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Any other questions from the Common Council? Now remember, this is your chance. Okay, now we're going to the audience. Are there any members of the audience with questions or comments on public hearing number 2? If you could please come up to the microphone like the couple did for public hearing number 1. Could you push the button with the person on it?
All right.
There you go.
All right.
Thank you.
My son Bruce lives right next door to where this building is, and we'd like to know if they use live animals for any testing, and if they do, how do they dispose of this material? We're concerned about it.
Sure. Mr. Chair, turning that one over to you.
I don't have the answer to that, but we can certainly find out. It's not my understanding that they're using any animals within this facility here.
And how do they dispose of whatever they're working with, their chemicals or?
Yeah, I mean, they have a waste service that would be designed for handling, the waste, of their labs. But I can certainly follow up with you on that.
Okay, I'd appreciate that.
Sure.
Do I turn this off?
Yes, please. Thank you. Any other questions from the audience on public hearing number 2? Okay, seeing none, we will close public hearing number 2, and I will ask the clerk to read our 3rd public hearing this evening.
Resolution relative to the determination for a conditional use permit for the Market at 6 Points, a proposed food-centric collection of restaurants, limited food production and retail uses located at 16 Star South 66th Street.
Thank you. Mr. Scher.
Thank you, Mayor. The Market at 6 Points represents phase 2 of the what we all know as south of National, or SONA. The developer Mandel has the Lofts building, a 110-unit apartment development under construction right now. And in roughly about 2 months, we'll start on the corner development on the corner of 66th and National. The area with the black outline around it is the subject of tonight's public hearing. It is a food-centric type of collection of uses, 3 buildings occupying roughly about 13,000 square feet of space, and everything from restaurants, limited food production, potentially a wine bar, event spaces within this 13,000 square feet. And it would be broken up into different tenant spaces designed to suit the tenants. It would be focused on local businesses, local to either West Dallas or Metro Milwaukee. It's not at least designed at this point to be any kind of larger franchise of sorts. Expected hours for this general array of business would be anywhere between 6 a.m. and midnight daily. And there are 51 parking stalls on this property outlined in black. The larger area is roughly another 100 or so, which could be shared in the immediate area, and I can get into that in a little bit. But again, the type of uses here, restaurants, event space, limited food production does require conditional use, and that's the purpose for tonight's hearing. Just a little bit closer view of the site plan and landscaping plan. The blue areas are patio areas, and the gold areas are buildings. There will be landscaping, and then there are going to be sort of a refuse area behind the building and a service court behind the building, and that interior courtyard area surrounded by patios and other buildings. So the landscaping plan, green areas are landscaping. We've worked with the Mandel team and the city forester to enhance the landscaping. Plan Commission had approved that at the last meeting, and the 51 parking stalls are shown internally on this site. And then there are 3 on the very north end of that private drive that enters off of Lapham Street, or 66th Street. So there will be shared parking between the Lofts development, the apartment development. That development has 89 underground parking stalls, as well as another 41 or so surface parking. And then to the east of that, there's going to be, roughly about another, give or take, another 100 or so parking stalls between the tonight's subject site, 51 on this site, outlined in red, and then another 21 of internal street side parking, and then 30 shared spaces just west of the proposed development. So that will be supportive of not only these developments that are being built here, but also shared with that of farmers market patrons and so on. There is a larger picture view as well of parking in this neighborhood. So while this site south of National has historically always been used for parking, and then before that it was light industrial, but there are other places to park within the area. If you're looking for off-street parking, there are municipal parking lots north of the farmers market buildings themselves, and then south of the farmers market. And then the city has agreements with the school district as well as a nearby church for additional off-street parking. And in the future, along Mitchell Street, there could be close to another 200 parking stalls between this development and 68th Street. So this is just a closer look at the building arrangements, the different square footages of each of those buildings and the types of uses. And then this is really themed, the developer was really theming this site, the development of the site, on 2 sites, one in Nashville, Tennessee called the Diskin Cider Building, and then Little Man Ice Cream in Denver, Colorado. He does have an ice cream sort of dairy type of use, hamburgers, ice cream, that is proposed within the building. So that's sort of one of the inspirations that was seen nationally that they want to bring to West Allis. And this is just a closer view a rendered view of what it could look like if you were hovering in a drone or something above the farmers market looking southwest. You would see the corner tenant, the Dairyland tenant. That's the ice cream and hamburger place. And then the other 2 buildings flanking that in the background, which would be slightly higher and elevated and feature canopied roof features, metal siding, a cedar plank accent panel, accent lighting, as well as outdoor patio space. Again, just to sort of capture your interest, to keep you in the neighborhood a little bit longer rather than just going to the farmer's market and leaving. So it's all about the place and keeping you here a little bit longer. And of course, spending your money and eating too much. So just a ground view of that same vantage point coming back to earth and looking southwest again. And then this is along 66th Street, looking northwest. The farmer's market is off behind us to your right. Just elevations of the different materials being used, the cedar cladding, the canopies, future signage arrangements, the iconic, I guess, Dairyland milk can feature. It's kind of like the pop on that corner. And then, again, just sort of different types of glass being used on the building with the roll-up overhead garage doors, which are very popular in summer months. So those will all be employed on this site to make it a place. Plan Commission did have some recommendations, and the developer has listened and acknowledged those. They're going to be adding some additional articulation outside of the building, including another canopy over an outdoor patio area and some additional cedar planking on the east and south side of the building. So Plan Commission has recommended approval and have received no objections to date. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the Common Council on our third public hearing?
Mayor Devine.
Alderperson Grisham.
Thank you for the presentation. You went into a lot of the parking issues surrounding that area, and the farmers market has a big draw too. So I appreciate all of the focus put on that. However, I noted in the presentation, it said use with non-exclusive shared stalls. So is there a percentage of these parking areas that are devoted strictly to exclusivity for the tenants or businesses that, you know, visitors of the market and whatnot are going to have to go deeper into the neighborhoods to park?
Yeah, so the areas that I know that are going to be dedicated to the apartments are the underground parking underneath the Lofts apartments, and then the 41 parking stalls here. And then these 24 are slated as, you know, guest visitor parking for the loft. So if you're coming to visit a friend in the apartments, you would park somewhere out here if you're not parking here. What could be shared, I think, with the farmers market would be these 21 that are highlighted, these internal private roads within the development. It's going to look very much like a street, like a city street, just for neighborhood look with street parking along the curb and sidewalk area. So those 21, and then additionally these 30 here could be used for staff as well as the public. In addition to those, you know, these roughly 51 here and another 51 here, there would be street parking as there is now along National Avenue and the South 66th Street area. So, and that was one of the reasons, you know, just knowing the future development potential of this area, you know, that's one of the reasons why we, you know, put this map together. And, you know, our team in economic development worked with the church nearby to get an additional 40 off-street parking just to help, you know, bridge some of that gap and, you know, keep it within the area where there is an opportunity. It will be, you know, as we all know, it gets very congested and busy depending on, you know, what events going on or what events are going on. But so this, we're hoping, is going to help, you know, ease some of that parking impact.
Okay, thank you, Steve. I have one additional follow-up question. As far as street parking, are there current restrictions right now, 1 hour, 2 hour, no restrictions?
You ask good questions, and I'll have to look at that closer to see if it is in fact controlled in some manner. I believe it is, but I'm not sure if it's 1 or 2 hours.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions from the members of the council on public hearing number 3? Okay, hearing none, are there any questions or comments from the members of the audience on public hearing number 3? Seeing none, we will close our third public hearing, and I will ask the clerk to read out public hearing number 4.
Resolution relative to the determination for a conditional use permit for Big B Coffee, a proposed restaurant with drive-through service, to be located within a portion of the property at 10230-10288 West National Avenue.
Mr. Scherer.
Thank you, Mayor. So this went before the Plan Commission last month, and Plan Commission tabled the item, and we'll get into the reasons why, but I'll give the presentation this evening. Staff is recommending we hold this item this evening, and we'll come back to the Planning Commission later this month, ideally work these remaining issues out, and then come back to the Common Council at a future date, early October. So Big B is a national chain. It's a to-go coffee chain, drive-through primarily. They do have a walk-up window, but the vast majority of their business is drive-through service. That's the reason for the conditional use this evening. Drive-throughs are conditional uses. So they are based out of Michigan. They have other locations in various states. They are, in this case, locating in a portion of parking lot. Seldom used for parking right now, but it does also function as a traffic aisle across the south side of that parking lot. And it's identified on the plan here, outlined in blue, is where they're looking to establish a ground lease. They'd be leasing from the current property owner. This roughly about quarter of an acre site on the south side of the shopping center, the strip mall. The hours for Big Coffee are 6 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday through Saturday, and then 7 to 7 on Saturday and Sunday. 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays. So the zoning, again, is C3, and drive-throughs are special uses. Just a closer look at the specific area within the parking lot. The red line in this case represents the easement area. If you look on the right-hand side of the screen, that's the certified survey map that's been presented to the city to carve off that quarter of an acre of lot area, lot 2. And then the hatch mark area represents an easement that will allow you to enter off of National Avenue and then also enter or exit the bank from the site. The drive-through traffic up to the window will be on the north side of the building facing Piggly Wiggly and the parking lot. And then the traffic will be changed from a two-way in this area on the south side to a directional from east to west. And we'll show a little diagram of that in a bit. Surrounding uses in this case, the other property to the west, as we all know, is Target, and then there are cross-access agreements between those sites that will be maintained. And there's a bank, Waterstone Bank to the south, and that cross-access easement will be maintained for customers to enter or exit. They also have the opportunity to enter or exit from National Avenue. And this is just a closer view of that drive-through configuration. Again, the grocery store is to the north, as well as the parking field, the main parking field. And then cars, we're showing about 7 vehicles queued here, entering one lane. There's a pass-through lane just to the north of that within this easement area. So if you're not going to the drive-up coffee shop, you can still pass by the drive-through line and continue about your way over to Target or moving down one of these aisles. Just a broader view. There is additional stacking. I mean, there are 7 cars shown on here, and if needed, they could probably go up to about 12 vehicles. And the exterior of the building is going to be a combination of a brick veneer on the lower base course and a little bit of a surround on the west elevation, and then cement board siding on the other elevations with a metal roof. Just a closer view of the floor plan. It's pretty simple: a kitchen, a storage area, and a employee restroom. So the Plan Commission has tabled this at the August 24th meeting. The main issues being just the location of that building and the site, and we've been working with the developer and their site development people on the proper location of that building, and there's a few different iterations. The idea I think is going to be to shift that building a little further east, and then relocating the refuse area accordingly, maybe on the east or west side of the building, and then ensuring that there's sufficient and ample drive-through stacking along with pavement markings to ensure that there's not conflicts within the existing parking lot. One other thing that the Plan Commission wanted to ensure is that there's proper pedestrian crossings and pavement and traffic control markings within the parking lot. If you look back at the plan here, if nothing's preventing someone, since Big B does have a walk-up window on the west side of the building, you could park here and walk over up to the front door or up to the front window to place your order. So there will be a need for a crosswalk feature. They're showing one a little further west here, but it could be 2 of them. It could be one further east as well. So it's things like that we feel we need to work out yet. Plan Commission tabled this, and I'm happy to answer any questions as needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the Common Council on public hearing number 4?
Mayor Devine.
Alderperson Grisham.
This is going to be more of a commentary than a question. Looking at that, I can see why the Plan Commission would table that to work out the bugs. As a frequent visitor to that shopping area, I would have great concerns with the setup as to the entrance off of National Avenue. It's almost like playing bumper cars when you come into that parking lot as it is right now. So turning left and heading over, is that a single lane that I'm seeing? And would people who were trying to circumvent the extra stops of going around, for example, pass in front of Piggly Wiggly to get over to Target, because that's what I would typically do, is turn left and then, bypass the slower traffic to get over to Target. Would that be interfering? People would have to wait if there were cars there already? Is that where the actual drive-through lane is, or will there be additional lane of traffic that can still go into the lot?
Yeah, there will be a pass-through lane. So if you're not, or if you're in the coffee, I guess the coffee line, you're one of these cars here. But there is an additional, roughly 10 or so feet to make the pass, another lane to make a pass by that drive-through traffic and continue over to Target, or to pass by and then park at the grocery store.
Okay, one follow-up question. Traffic study, how many vehicles are traveling on National Avenue daily? I asked the tough questions, I'm sorry, Steve.
Is there an engineer in the house? I can get that.
That would
for
be
you,
my
yeah.
concern. There's a huge flow of traffic.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the members of the Common Council on public hearing number 4? All right. Are there any comments or questions from the members of the audience on public hearing number 4? Okay, we will close our 4th public hearing. And I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 5.
Noise variance permit for Unit Drop Forge, 1903 South 62nd Street.
Who's presenting this one? Bob, is this your presentation? It's okay.
First. Sorry, so yeah, no formal presentation tonight. Really, it's just an opportunity just to let members of the council and the mayor know that in the 3 years that I've been here, and then actually since the issuance of the current variance, which is 9 years standing at this point, that we have no complaints on file with Unit Forge with regard to the current variance. And really, the highlight of the current variance is our understanding really to allow them to operate until 11 p.m. As opposed to 10 p.m., which is an ordinance at this point. And so with that in mind, again, we haven't received as the health department any concerns from the community with regard to the current variance as it stands. And Health Department has no opposition to the current standing and also just the way that the variance is currently structured. So with that, I guess I would take any questions you might have. Or
Thank you, Commissioner Leishow. Any questions from the council on our last public hearing? Seeing none, are there any?
Mr. Mayor.
Oh, there's
I have to
one.
say my
Oh,
two
this
cents.
guy used to work there.
Yeah, I appreciate, Bob, that you did visit Unit Forging, To me, Unit Forging has been in existence, I would say, a little over 100 years, And really, Unit Forging has been a ground stone, really, for the community, really been having, provided good living jobs, and again, they've been provide the fact that the noise levels, they always comply to make as best as possible for their operation. So they've been investing millions of dollars throughout the years to make, acceptable for the surrounding, for the neighborhood. So that's all I have. Thank you.
That's it. Thank you.
Mayor Devine.
Alderperson Grisham.
Bob, have the residents in the area been notified of this request of the noise variance?
yeah, it's my understanding that the public notice was issued prior to this public hearing.
Okay, so it's a public notice, but no direct mailings?
Not from the health department, but a
Okay.
public notice.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from the council? Hearing none, are there any questions or comments
Mayor
from
Devine?
the, oh, you just got in there, Alderperson Rankin.
Just by the skin of my teeth.
Go ahead.
Okay. Sorry about that, Bob. Did I understand they want to extend the hours till 11 o'clock?
No, so the current variance allows them technically to operate until 11 o'clock. And so they're just looking for an extension, a continuance of the current variance for another certain number of years.
Oh, so it is at 11 right now?
Correct.
I see. Okay, that's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Thank you. Last chance, council members. All right, now we're going to the audience. Is there anybody in the audience with comments or questions on public hearing number 5? Okay, seeing none, or I'm seeing one, sorry.
Hello, my name's Ron Jansen. I'm the president and general manager of Unit Drop Forge, so I appreciate your time tonight. And I just want to say that, as Vin said, we've been in the community for 104 years. I've been a part of it for 23 years. We love the community. We're proud to be a part of West Allis, and we look forward to another 104 years. This extension is crucial to the continuation of the company with the equipment we have. It's a privately held company. It's run like a family, but if the variance wasn't to be extended, that would be a very difficult position for the company, and I just don't see a situation where this company could be moved to another location, for example, especially with the significant costs of the base movement, the foundations, et cetera. So again, we're proud to be a part of West Allis. We're proud to work with the community. If there's anything that comes up, any questions, concerns, comments, we're happy to give tours and looking forward to next year to celebrate our 105th year and likely have an open house for the community to come to.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Jansen. Any other comments from the audience? All right, then we will close our public hearings this evening. Thank you, everybody. We will move on to item E, which is citizen participation. This is the opportunity for the council to receive information from members of the public. We aim to keep this to a 30-minute period on our agenda, and we ask that you limit your comments to one statement of no longer than 5 minutes. Does anybody wish to address the council under citizen participation this evening?
Hi, my name is Mark Vicena. I live at 1338 South 65th Street. I appreciate the opportunity earlier, Alderman Vitale, to speak. I promise I won't be talking about the ownership, but I came here to talk about the property on 6500 West Greenfield Avenue. You guys are going to be voting soon, someday, on giving this place a liquor license again. It hasn't been that long since I've been up here talking to you guys. When I say guys, I don't mean, please, that's a generic. The blood on the sidewalk is still wet. It's not dry yet. It hasn't been that long. Everybody that has owned that property in the last, I've been there for 30 years, it's been nothing but problems over the last 15 years. Scotty back in his day when he owned it, it was,
Mark, can you try pushing the on button again? I don't know if the battery's...
Thanks. Yeah, Scotty's was, pills downstairs and cocaine upstairs. That was his motto. There has been a lot of people that have been coming in front of the committee. They bring very clean-cut people without records applying for the liquor license, and they get it. And they eventually get revoked because there's always been issues with that. It's always false information in what they tell you to get that liquor license. I look at all these public hearings you have and what's going on with my district, District 1, and the farmers market area. It's going in the direction that is pretty exciting. Opening up another corner tavern is not exciting anymore. Those were old days, West Allis. We don't need that kind of business in District 1. If you guys want it in your district, have at it. It's nothing but problems. It's violence. It's noise. It is litter. It is, You know, it got to the point where I would call up the police. 414-302-8000, press 0 for instant help. I called it enough times. You know, Chief Mitchell, the last case scenario there was that there was an assault on one of his officers. I used to call up the police and tell them there's fighting in the streets. The dispatcher would ask me, well, how do you know it's fighting? What, am I, an idiot? You know, it got to the point where I sleep with my windows closed. I'm not scared to live where I'm at. I mean, Debbie, when she was alive, she says, Mark, you're gonna be sitting on your front porch and you're gonna get shot. That's West Dallas. That's what you wanna bring West Dallas back to? We do not need another corner tavern. I don't care who the owner is. The building itself is not conducive to a restaurant. If Alderman Weigel was here, he would tell you firsthand experience that you're not gonna do 50% food, 50% liquor. You had experienced guys at the Crooked Crow saying they're pushing 30% food. It's a very hard thing. People come in front of the committee and they tell you what you want to hear. You know, as I said before, the blood on the sidewalk is not dry yet. There's a lot of issues, and I just hope that the committee votes not to give them a license just for the sake of what's in the best interest for the city. People are not entitled to a liquor license because they come in front of you and they have no record. I don't ask much from the city. I just ask a couple of things. The right to privacy and the right to being protected. I feel that if you give that building another liquor license, that's invading on my rights to privacy and safety based on what has happened in the past. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vicena. Anyone else in the audience rather wish to address the council under citizen participation this evening? Okay, seeing none, we will close citizen participation and move on to item F of tonight's agenda, which contains the announcement of our standing committees, which will be meeting during recess. Those room numbers are listed on page 2 of the agenda. Excuse me. Moving on to item G, the mayor's report. I have a few things this evening. Couple events coming up later this week. On September 8th is our final concert series of the summer. We will have music by Andrea and the Mods playing classic rock, pop, country, as well as just plain old good music. Andrea grew up in West Dallas, and she will be joined at Veterans Park by pizza from Flower Girl and Flame. The food truck Tots on the Street and 1840 Brewing Company will be present as well. That's on September 8th. And then on the next evening, September 9th, right outside of City Hall here, we have the annual Art on the Plaza, where we partner with Inspiration Studios for some public art festivities. Admission to both of these events are free. Friday night's event will have artwork for sale by local artists. Again, beer from 1840 Brewing Company. There will be a food truck, and Pete's Pops will be present, and there will be live music by Derek Byrne and Patty Grass. So those two events are both coming up this Thursday and Friday. On another topic, I don't believe we've had a meeting since we had a primary in West Dallas, but as you all may know, we had one of our alderpersons run for state treasurer, and I just want to take a minute to commend him for running. I know they were not the results that he wanted, and he worked very hard. It takes a lot to run for office. You put yourself out there for lumps and bumps, and I just want to commend Alderman Angelito Tenorio for taking that leap and running for statewide office. Also just want to mention 2 proclamations that I'd made for the month of September. It is at the request of a lot of you know Peggy Papia, who just retired recently from the health department, contacted me asking about doing a proclamation for Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month, which I was happy to do. And then it is also Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and that came from the family of Mackenzie Clyde, who a lot of you will remember had a very special day with the West Allis Police and Fire Department when she was battling her cancer, and we all miss her and her smile. And as a lot of you also know, we have a very special relationship with the MAC Fund here in West Allis, with that being surrounding Candy Cane Lane. So I just want to mention those two proclamations. Thank you. That does conclude the mayor's report this evening. Item H is the alderperson's reports. Do we have any of those?
Mayor Devine?
Alderperson Keene.
I can't speak to all of them, but I do want to thank any of the local businesses and citizens who participated in the few back-to-school supply drives, free haircuts, legacy cuts, and Alderman Grisham and I's district had a big event. We were able to fill 70 backpacks, give away free haircuts, bounce houses, and Sonic the Hedgehog showed up, and he got in a dunk tank, and I know the rec center had put one on, and a lot of local businesses contributed their time to give free haircuts, give supplies. Citizens stopped by and gave supplies, so I just want to thank everyone who participated in those events to help get the kiddos ready and back to school for a successful year.
Thank you. Any other alderperson's reports? Alderperson Reinke.
Idea if we offered, I'm sorry. Alderman Tenario and I belong to the Board of Health, and we just wanted to tell everybody that there's a rummage sale at the senior center on the dates that you have indicated, on Thursday and Friday, September 8th and September 9th. So people have their choice if they want to go and rummage or if they want to go to the art fair. Big choice.
Or both.
Yes, or both. Yes. The rummage sale on September 8th is from 11 to 3, and Friday, September 9th, it's from 9 to 3. Also, you can rent a table if you want to sell things. All you have to do is call 414-302-8700 if you'd like to rent a table as well. And we want to also announce the 40th anniversary for our senior center. 40 long years, this center has been the center for the seniors. And it's a wonderful organization. They're having an open house with refreshments and a lot of acts, and you can see what it's all about. So I invite you to go, and this will be open from noon to 4 on September 22nd. So there's lots of things happening at the senior center, and if you want to find out, you just go and visit on that particular day, September 22nd.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other alderperson's reports? Alderman Vitale.
Yeah, I'd like to say to Alderperson Rosalie Reinke, yeah, I was at that time when I was born, 40 years ago.
So you've got a few years before you can join the senior center. Yeah. Any other alderperson's reports? Okay, we'll move on to item I, Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes August 2nd and August 5th of the Common Council meeting.
Second.
There's a motion and a second, and another second, and then another second. Any changes to the minutes? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Standing committee reports, we have none.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
If there's no objection from any members of the council, I move for approval of the consent agenda as it is presented.
Second.
We have a motion. We have a second by Alderperson Reinke. Any discussion? If there's no discussion, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Grisham.
Aye.
Haas. Aye. Keene.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Reinke. Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meetings.
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Alderperson Ranky. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are in recess.
So our license and health committee meeting come back to.
Public Works.
Oh, Public Works, sorry. I'm sorry.
Somebody give that man a big gavel.
I tried to do that
Before he
before,
pushed Public
but
Works, now he's canceling
That
it.
I did for real. I did it for real before.
Okay, if it's okay with Alderman Vitale, we'll call Public Works Committee to order. Please note, all 5 members are present and well-rested for the last 2 months. We'll start with item 34, Resolution 2022-0555. Resolution to approve contract with Paraventure Advisors for tenant relocation services at 5121-5325 West Rogers Street in 2020 through 2060 South 54th Street.
I move for adoption, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Approve.
Okay, motion approved. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, further discussion, yes, Rote. This is what we had sent back last time, right, to get more bids?
Mr. Chair?
Please.
So this is one where the council last time just wanted to see, can I get a temperature of the market?
Yes.
For whatever reason, there's not a lot of companies that actually do this type of work. And we needed to get our city buyer a little bit more detail so we could go get competitive quotes. We were not able to get any competitive quotes between the last meeting and tonight. There was a request that if the council still wants to try to get more quotes and still test the market, to get at least a month later so that he can go out and try to collect more quotes from different contractors.
Your thoughts? Should we wait a month, or are we just,
So this is a company that did our relocation plan and was successful in getting it approved by the Department of Administration. They've been very communicative and good to work with. Their hourly rates appear, just from my very amateur look in the market, to be reasonable. They would be able to get going without much learning curve because they already know all the tenants. They made contact with them and would get going. So even if we found a slightly cheaper hourly rate, I'm afraid that that company would have to do more upfront work than this company would. So I have no problem if the council approves this.
already moved and seconded, but we'll see.
I have no problem if the council approves it, but obviously, there is a way to try to test the market further if you're okay with a 1 month delay.
Yeah, the way Mr. Chair, the way the situation is now, it's pretty difficult really to, based on the bid, I think I know for me it's a lot of money, but at the same time, that's the way it is right now, the cost is more, that's all. I have no problem.
Is it the way it is, or do you feel confident we could get other bids?
I think I feel confident with this
I was
bid.
talking to the attorney.
Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were talking to me.
No.
Oh.
Once we weren't, okay? No,
I mean, Vince might know some people we don't know, who knows? No, so I think that we'd be confident in finding other contractors. There are not many out there, but I'm sure we could find some sort of competitive bid. My concern would be that even if they bid a lower hourly rate, which I don't know if they could, it's gonna take several hours to get up to speed with what's going on here, as opposed to continuing with this company that would just be able to hit the ground running. That's my only concern. It's like hiring lawyers. If you hire a lawyer who's not familiar with your case, even at a cheaper rate, they could end up costing you more. And that would be my concern if we would switch vendors. I don't see, again, in my informal review, I didn't see hourly rates ever be low enough to justify going with another contractor. But again, the only way to know for sure would be to test that market with our purchaser.
Mr. Chair?
Alderperson, I
Grisham.
didn't catch you.
I'm Grisham,
Okay, but
just in case.
I didn't catch the voice.
That's okay. That's okay. I would like to also support what Attorney Decker said, but also point out the fact that I think in our last discussion, Rebecca shared that information. We do have a history with this particular company, and I think we should move forward with it instead of dragging our heels any longer. That's all.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, basically, from what our city attorney has indicated, they are a fair and equitable company, and in light that they've worked with our people for any length of time, a long length of time, I would say, I would also say I would support staying with the amount that they have indicated.
Okay.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna repeat anything.
Did you want to talk?
No, I don't need to
Okay.
talk.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed, motion carries. Item 35 tonight is a communication from Engineering 2022-0912. Communication regarding closing 55th Street Railroad crossing, and I see we have Rob Hutter, our chief engineer, here to speak on this, please.
All right, yes, I sent a communication to the committee. As part of the Wisconsin Department of Transportation project next summer, or next year, we will be reconstructing Beloit Road from approximately 60th to 68th. With that construction, we'll be upgrading the railroad crossing. Because we're upgrading, we found out about this a few weeks ago, because we're upgrading this Beloit Road crossing, It needs to be able to speak, I guess for lack of a better word, with the 55th Street crossing. The 55th Street crossing is very out of date. So the railroad is telling us that we have to upgrade the 55th Street crossing. We did some preliminary estimates on it, and we're looking at about $600,000 to upgrade the 55th Street crossing. Another option is to eliminate the 55th Street crossing. With that option, we feel, estimate-wise, at the most, it would be about $160,000. With incentives from the railroad, if we can get them to go through, it could be nothing. It could be a zero-cost item. So, just with that, the fact that there's a crossing at 57th to the west and Electric to the east, that and neither one of those are very far away, you know, a quarter mile at the most. I guess I was looking to discuss with the committee what options we had, and if we would be looking at closing the 55th Street crossing, if we'd want to have a meeting for that. Obviously, Alderperson Vitale, it's your district. So I guess I was just looking at to open up a communication lines as to where we'd want to go on this committee.
So are you done? I'm sorry.
Yes, yep. Yeah.
Is the Electric Avenue crossing and the 57th Street crossing, how come those two are able to communicate with the Beloit Road crossing, but not the 55th Street crossing?
It's my understanding those have been upgraded more recently than the 55th Street crossing. And upgrading is the railroad infrastructure, not the actual concrete or the asphalt on the tracks. It's the arms, the signals themselves.
Okay.
Mr. Oh, go ahead.
Alderman Stefanski.
So I'm kind of stumped here because we had 4 railroad crossings that were closed, that we were trying, or not closed, but they were repaired because we were trying to get the railroad company to repair them for years.
Right.
And now they're telling us we have to repair the crossing? Why is it different for that compared to the ones that we had closed, or that they repaired, this railroad did?
I guess it's a crossing of their railroad, and how do I put, they do the work on it, like, so in your case, you're talking about the pavement itself. That crossing was redone by the railroad company. This crossing, meaning the arms, the computers, the infrastructure of the actual, not the pavement, the arms and the signal itself, that has to be paid for by the city. Why? I guess I'm not 100% sure. It's how the railroad operates. I mean, I know we talked about the bridges over Highway 100, the bridge over Greenfield Avenue had to be painted, and we foot the bill for that.
So if we repaired it with $600 and some thousand, is that what you said?
What the estimates we have, if we upgrade it, it would be $600,000 roughly.
And if we don't, it's 100 and some thousand to get rid of it?
At the most, it'd be like 160, or it could be as low as nothing. The railroad offers incentives to close crossings. They want to have fewer and fewer crossings just because there's more points of accidents. So,
I'd be in favor of getting rid of it then.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I'm really familiar with the, based on traffic, really that the mobile and vice versa, going south or north, it's not really that heavily traffic. It really is not, because many people do utilize more 57th Street, really. That's where the more trafficking really is. So to me, to invest that kind of money, I mean, I think we can just go along with the idea to shut it down, really. And even though it's my district, I mean, somebody always gonna gripe about it, complain, but when you make a decision, to me, it's a hell of a good decision at this point, because it's not that much traffic on 56th Street.
55th is the one that goes right out to the intersection on Electric and
Yeah,
Lincoln,
and
isn't
there's
it?
not that many much traffic there, because even with the traffic light, it's not that many people wait for the traffic light on 50/50, really. It's very minimum. the
Mr. Chair?
amount of cars.
Alderperson Grisham.
With that being said, that was going to be my question. Has a traffic study been performed? How much traffic do we have in that passing?
We have not performed a traffic study on that railroad crossing.
Okay.
I can get traffic counters out there.
Yeah, I think that
to
would be
see-
beneficial to see and actually count, because unless you're sitting there all day, Vince. I
Well,
get what you're
I got
saying
nothing-
though,
I got
but you
nothing
know what
else.
I mean, it's
nothing
like,
else to
Jump along here.
you are retired. But at any rate, of course, it would be a no-brainer for me, $600,000 repair work versus 160 to remove. However, we have to look at the safety issues in that matter, first and foremost. So I would look at, the traffic counter as being probably the least expensive to try to do and collect some data up on it.
Sure,
Come back and let us know.
sure.
That's the way I would approach it.
And one more question, if I may. And this would be for Dave Webking. Do you see any problems with a new public works facility in the area and closing that street?
Oh, it's already on there. Okay.
I don't need an answer right now, because we're gonna hold it.
We'd have
for-
to look at that and.
Right, because
Thank
we're
you,
gonna
Dan.
hold it to do the traffic study and everything like that. And then you can get that traffic study back to us when, within 2 weeks, or you need longer?
Actually, Mr. Chair, I was just advised by Attorney Decker that it is already in print. It's about 300 vehicles a day. So I wouldn't recommend that we
Okay,
would need to
all
do
right.
that. That would be a waste of
Is
time.
that for the,
It's from the
sorry,
communication.
okay, so that probably hasn't changed a whole lot since, I mean, I
Mr.
could
Chair.
put up the counters, but I don't
Yeah.
know if it's changed a whole lot.
I wouldn't delay it as a result of doing the
No.
counter. I'm sorry, Rosie.
No,
Alderperson Grisham,
that's
or,
quite all right.
Ranky.
All right, doesn't the railroad contribute at all?
No,
I mean,
unfortunately,
The
they're
railroad hasn't been
very,
very cooperative with
yeah, they're,
doing any repair work at all. We wait years and years and years for them to
yeah, they're,
repair what we needed being 3 years ago.
yeah,
It's
they're-
unfortunate, and basically, there are other crossings in the area, I would say, and so basically, as Alderman Grisham has said, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer.
Well, and they've known about this project for years, and they told us in July, right before everything.
Right.
It's like,
It's unfortunate,
the way the hierarchy is,
yes.
They think they
That darn
rule.
But
double
I
R.
would-
Companies
I
think
would
they rule everything.
Definitely go for the lesser amount.
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
Alderperson Ranky, this is
Oh,
similar
you
to
done?
when we say the bridges need painting, and they say, yes, they do need
Yes,
painting.
I know, that's what I was thinking of.
$140,000 later, out of our pockets, the
Right.
bridge is painted,
Well, you
so.
can get a guy like you retired.
But we got to
Yeah.
choose the color.
Something.
Moving on.
Go ahead,
Okay.
Attorney Decker.
Only because I did look into this issue at the request of one of the engineers, and the source of funding is a reason why the city is having to pay this, is we have money coming in from other sources, that's why the state gets involved, and also, yes, the laws from the 1800s that were created for railroad protection are still in existence, and they get a lot of protection and autonomy. So they handle a lot of the expenses right within their little tiny area where the tracks go by, but the equipment that is used to stop, meaning the arms and the signals, there's a lot of law on that actually says that we have to pay for that. So it's unfortunate.
There you go.
Mr. Chair,
Alderman Vitale.
the fact it is the distance or the proximity, I mean, we talk 2 blocks, on 57th Street. If somebody wanna utilize the southbound or the Electric Avenue, to me, there's no problem at all, because, I see that, there is already a count for 300 cars per day. Again, it's gonna be more in the afternoon then, because what I see many times, there's hardly any cars go through there, because they don't like to go out on Lincoln Avenue with that traffic light,
Right.
That's my opinion, That's why I think we should, move forward with that, you know, to me, that's something that we can do, I think, to eliminate that crossing. I mean, some people, I
got
mean,
the
they
sense
don't
of
get
the-
mad at you, they get mad at me, the neighbors, you know, so don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
So, I guess the direction the committee is sending you is to
You sounded so
move
intelligent.
forward, and this will not change the horns in that area?
Right, there would not be a horn change. The railroad did,
Still have to,
yeah, they.
no horns.
No horns, correct. They did insinuate leaving it open, they could rescind that rule too, but I didn't.
Okay.
That was verbal.
Well, there you have it, Rob, thank you.
Mr. Chair, are we going to be voting on this?
Yeah, I made
No,
the
it's a
motion.
communication.
Because I would make,
It's just a
It's a communication.
Telling him to
Oh.
move forward.
That's a communication, so
We
that's.
have the traffic count. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
thanks. Motion to adjourn?
I made the motion.
Second.
Is
I'll
there-
second
there's
it.
a Moved and seconded, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries, we're adjourned. Thank you.
At this time, License and Health Committee comes to order. All the members are present. Okay, let's, Rebecca,
Mr.
102?
Sure, I was gonna go through the items that you previously discussed at the meeting
Yes.
and just give an overview of what was discussed. But the first item is the noise variance permit for Unit Drop Forge
Yes.
at 1903 South 62nd Street, so that wasn't discussed before, so you probably wanna,
I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
The only thing I didn't see on the application was any expiration date. If the committee's interested in putting another 10, 15-year expiration for renewal, that's fine. Otherwise, if it's approved, it's just approved until revoked.
Should we just
Sounded
put,
like he
should we
wanted
just put,
104 more.
should we just put 96 years so that gets
Right.
to 200
You can put
years?
a 15
Approved until
years,
revoked, I would.
I believe really, 15 years would be more appropriate. I mean, like I said, the
What'd you say?
company's been there more than 100 years. you know.
Suzette, what did you say?
At this point, the motion was approved without an expiration.
Yeah, second.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Second.
okay, Fine.
Is that dangerous?
I would argue no, because there still is revocation authority. It's just more,
Okay.
if you want to review it in a certain number of years, you could have put an expiration date on it. I just want to make sure the committee was aware of that.
I prefer that we have a review in 15 years.
Geez, I won't be here by then.
Are you gonna be here in 15 years?
I won't be
Okay,
The motion is currently without
I won't be here
expiration,
for
so
10 years. Do we add an amendment then?
would you, if you would like to make an amendment, you
I
could.
would like to make an amendment,
For 15 years?
yes.
All right.
For a second.
second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it.
And then on the final motion, with 15 years?
15 years. Now, we have an motion for 15 years extension. You like to make an motion, Rosalie?
It's,
I approve.
Made.
it's already pending now,
Yes.
so it's, all needs a vote.
So we need to
Okay, on the motion of approval of 15 years extension,
go. Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
The aye have it.
I oppose. So just so you have it on the record.
Okay.
You oppose the 15 years?
Yeah, there's no reason to have 15 years.
Okay, moving along.
Item 42
I agree
is
with you.
operator's license for Samantha Liven. The committee discussed holding that because she was not present.
Motion to deny?
Can I make a motion to
Deny.
hold all the ones that we held at once, or do
42,
we?
44, 45,
Five and
47,
47.
48.
Wait, I'm
Yeah.
marking them down. Which ones, please?
44.
44, 45, 47, and
48.
48.
So can I make a motion to hold those? Okay, I make a motion to hold all the ones that Rebecca just read off.
Well, that's up to the committee. We need a second, and then we can vote on it.
If I may, Chairman Vitale, I
Yes.
have made a motion. It wasn't heard, but I will retract my motion.
Okay,
And Alderman Stefanski made a motion to hold all items. I will second it.
all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
The aye have it.
For item 43, for Lucy Borden, the operator's license committee discussed denying based on non-appearance.
Motion to deny.
Second.
All in favor of the motion to deny the application?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it.
For item 46, the operator's license for Catherine Wizanowski, the committee discussed denial based on habitual criminality.
Motion to deny.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it. Next one.
And then the item 49, this is the tavern application for 10535 West Greenfield, the Greenfield takeout.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 The opposed? The aye have it.
No.
There's one no.
One no then, all right, okay.
4 yes, 1 no.
4 yes, okay. Next one.
For the item 50, it's a tavern license for 8010 West National Avenue. That was the previously licensed location. The committee discussed putting conditions on the license that the principal business remains the painting or print studio, and it's limited to private events only. There was also a discussion about limiting the type of products to beer or wine.
Any motion?
I would make a motion to approve based on the conditions, but we need discussion on that final item, which would be, are we limiting the liquor to just beer and wine as requested
Yes.
for the applicant?
Okay.
Second.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
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 Opposed? The aye have it.
Thank you.
So we, go ahead. Rebecca.
Okay, sure. Item 51 is the tavern license for 6500 West Greenfield. There was discussion of, we had a neighbor here and then discussion
Yes.
regarding
Yeah, I would like to ask,
situation there. There's a revocation there in 2017.
okay. I would like to ask the applicant, if she reduce the kosher time, you know? Instead of 1 AM, could go down to, I believe, 12 AM? Is any concern for you, Crystal?
No concern at all.
Chairman Vitale?
Yes.
I do have a couple of questions. I know that, based on what you had stated, you wanted to stay open till 1 because that's kind of what the surrounding restaurants are. I can tell you after 10 PM, I'm not seeing a restaurant open in West Dallas.
I'm sorry.
But that would be my concern, if we're going to approve the license, that we put conditions on those license, that the primary principal business is a restaurant.
No, that's,
That I believe there was an attached entertainment license that you're requesting. That would not be, that's what I'm asking, actually.
Well,
Attorney-
she won't have that anymore, she said.
So that would not be part of it?
Yeah.
Correct.
That would not be
part of it.
approved?
correct.
Hours of operation, Alderman Vitale,
Yes.
you're recommending 12 AM versus?
Well, it's up to the committee, I'm not the only one to.
Okay.
I mean, if you wish to change it or whatever.
But those were my concerns. It would have to be, a primary business would have to be restaurant. It cannot be
No, that's
just
fine.
a tavern.
That's fine, and that was the idea. The, closing hour at 1 AM was only because most of the restaurants in the area closed at 11. So I was,
Monopolize on that.
yes.
That's always good in theory. You'd have my business, that's for sure, because nothing's open.
But the question stands that
Also-
if sometime at 1 AM, I'm not saying it could occur, but sometimes it does happen. You get all of some scavengers,
Yeah, I understand.
So, I know that they could come in at 12 AM just as well,
Yes.
But I
Chair.
think, yeah, go ahead.
We also would discuss limiting the first floor too, remember that?
Yeah,
Yes.
the second floor to
Yeah.
eliminate it to any other concerns, that we have, it should be based on the property, the second floor should be utilized if it's an office space or rental property, but nothing influence your business with the upstairs. So
Mr.
that's-
Chair.
That's the amendment or the,
Mr. Chair, I will make a motion to approve based on the following conditions.
Yes.
That the license is for a restaurant activity, not to exceed the hours of 12 midnight. All restaurant activity is limited to the first level of the property. And I'm not sure that I'm missing any of the.
Well, that alcohol had to be limited to the first floor too.
That-
First floor, everything,
Yes,
yes,
and,
sure.
well, all activity would be
All
limited to
activity.
the first level, including, obviously, it's a license for alcohol.
So,
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
typically, people store their alcohol in the basement. Are you storing it on the first floor? I just want to, if it's,
Good point.
Yes, it will be stored on the first floor. as
okay,
well.
so you don't have anything in the basement?
No.
Okay.
Okay.
so everything be in the first floor then, right? Okay,
Mr. Chair,
yes. all
the
personnel.
restaurant that is closest to them that just opened not too many, I think this last year,
Reunion?
what are their hours of operation?
Normally-
Here we
normally
are.
11
Who can
p-
Google the fastest?
yeah, really.
11 PM, I think. No,
I'm concerned with the 12 o'clock time in that particular neighborhood.
Google says they close at 9 PM.
It depends on the day of the week.
Yeah, 9 PM tonight.
Yeah. Because Friday and Saturday till 9 PM tonight.
See, that's
I
what I
would
mean,
make-
11 o'clock. that's
11 o'clock, I would prefer the 11 o'clock versus the 12 o'clock.
Would you be
Closing.
agreeable upon that?
On the west side, we don't have any restaurants open until 12 o'clock.
The hours were my competitive edge.
I'm sorry, ma'am?
The hours were my competitive edge, because we have similar menus and,
This has been a troubled bar, and we're reaching kind of a consensus for you, that you can prove
Yeah.
yourself.
Emotions it is.
I would prefer 11 o'clock closure.
The older person rank it, and the
Yes.
motion was already in place for 12 o'clock.
Well, we don't have to approve of that. We can change
Yeah.
it with an amendment, right? To 11
Yes.
o'clock?
Mr. Chair, so I understand,
think
I understand the motion from Alderperson Grisham to say approval with the principal place of, our principal business being a restaurant. And I have to also let the committee know there is a law out there saying that the committee may not necessarily impose an order or rule limiting hours directly. However, in the process of requiring it to be a restaurant, I would argue activities beyond midnight will be deemed non-restaurant activities. So I think the applicant understands what the committee is going for. So that's the motion pending. I don't know if I heard a second.
Yes, it's pending, with a second already.
There was a second?
Yes,
Who's
Then-
the second?
yeah, second thing.
All right, in second.
Did you answer my question
So-
with the restaurant next door?
Nobody second the motion?
So
Oh,
they
nobody.
close at 11 o'clock on weekends and 9 o'clock weekdays.
All right, I thought
At 9
somebody
o'clock.
said,
was more discussion.
11
so
o'clock,
nobody
though, they
heard
close.
mine.
Weekends.
I
okay,
was working on mine.
all right.
I still think 11 o'clock is good.
So whatever, I mean, would you like to make it a motion for,
Well, I
Le-
made
I
the
made the
motion
motion.
already. I would keep it as 12 based on what Attorney Decker just stated to us. Any activity after midnight typically would not be restaurant-related. If this is that competitive edge that Crystal would like to bring forth, I think she should be given the opportunity to do so and prove herself. So my motion is on the floor.
I'll make this, I'll second it.
Okay.
So based on my motion and a second, all in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye. So it's been
Opposed.
I have a
opposed.
problem with the
Are
hours.
there any votes opposed?
Okay, you didn't do the opposed?
No,
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 Okay, so it fails.
so it fails, so the motion has been opposed of closure at 12. So we can do it,
Back to discussion and a new motion.
yeah, we can have a second discussions, and, so would you make the motion, all person ranking in reference of the change time?
the only thing I would
You-
change with Alderman Grishman's
11?
would be a time o'clock, 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock. Okay, you
Time
made the
change.
motion for 11.
11, I make a
11
motion that
PM.
the restaurant close at 11 o'clock.
Okay. And the second? Any seconds?
Okay.
No seconds. So at this point, I would like to know, but not having a second, where we stand with the timing now.
At this point, it's still under discussion. A majority of the committee should try to reach some sort of motion.
Yes.
If you can't reach a motion, then it would go to council for a floor vote and a floor
Yeah,
motion.
I don't-
I'll second.
Seconding Alderperson Rankies.
Yes, but you only stated the hours, so are we keeping the same stipulations and
Yes,
conditions?
that's what I said.
Okay, so
Same
if you want to read
stipulations.
that back
Everything
out.
else remains the same,
And-
correct?
Yep.
And if I may, is that a deal breaker for you?
No.
Okay, thank you.
But is it temporary or is that, can I have like a 6-month type of probationary
Well,
period?
6 months from now, you can come back. I mean, I believe if she could do so.
So,
Yeah.
Mr. Chair, I understand Alderperson Ranky's motion then to be approval with the condition that the principal business be a restaurant and any activity taking place after 11 PM would not be a restaurant activity. And that restriction is placed permanently on the license. However, the applicant could come in at any point in time and request different conditions. It would be up to the committee to decide based on a purely discretionary standard
Yes.
if you wanted to change those conditions.
So,
Mr. Chair, minimum
Yes.
being 6 months before someone asks for,
She
I
can
mean,
come-
we do it for a reapplication if you're denied. I think 6 months would be,
yeah, 6 months, everybody agree about those conditions, it'll 11
Attorney Decker's
a.m.,
got something,
11
yeah.
p.m., I mean.
Vince.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, go
Chair,
ahead.
there's no restrictions on when she could come back informally. 6 months, if you want to ask the applicant if 6 months is acceptable to, at least in these conditions, then that would be something you could ask her.
Mr. Chair?
Yes.
There's a
Oh.
motion on the floor and there's a second, is,
For 11 p.m.
correct, the change.
So we have an motion to 11 p.m. closure,
And now there's stipulations.
We need a vote.
so we need a vote. There's a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Aye.
Oppose?
no.
No.
The aye have it. Okay, we all set.
So Vince is an aye. The math checks out.
Finally got it. Finally got it.
That was a lot,
So-
Crystal. Thank you very
know,
much.
Thank you.
To clarify for the applicant's sake, this is a
Thank
committee,
you.
committee approval that will go to council later for a full vote.
Yeah.
So these are recommendations that go to the council tonight.
Yeah, I would like to really kind of briefly address the fact that, you know, the two corners were problems for a long time with the spa, you know. So basically was caused from both operations, you know, different operators. So, but now, like I said, the spa is gone, so I foreseen better business for her, you know, really,
Thank you.
okay?
And the last item was item 52, for the Phoenix 360 on South 108th Street. The event space, there was discussion about limiting it to the event space.
I'll make the motion to approve, same conditions that it is for private events only. It is not open to the general public for consumption of alcohol. And could you please refresh my memory if there was any other points of discussion that I had stated? I'll look at my notes real quick.
I think that was it.
That's
I
it.
didn't see anything else.
Were there hours?
I think, what was
It was
it?
for events only.
What are the? I mean,
Oh,
they
you
could
mean
have an
hours for the
event
ends-
to-
events.
Till 4 in the morning.
Well,
Can't
they have the normal closing hours of 2 a.m.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So with an event space, and may I ask you that question? Would you mind coming forward?
Sure.
How late would your events go? So when you have a micro wedding, for example, I know when I attend a wedding, it doesn't typically go past 10, 11 o'clock. So is that pretty much what you're looking for? Or are you looking for those hours of what would be tavern hours?
I think our latest event was probably around like 12. That
12.
was the latest one we've had it, yeah.
Okay.
We haven't had anything 1 or 2. Most people don't.
Okay, well, I think it would be fair and reasonable.
Yes,
If that's okay with you, I'll make that condition to midnight. No activity after midnight,
So you made the motion with conditions.
with the conditions. Are you
Okay.
clear on that?
Private
Okay.
event, private event, and
Midnight,
midnight only.
yes, midnight, yes.
Okay. So there's a motion, and there is a second.
Any
Is there a
seconds?
second?
I'll second it.
All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Opposed? The aye have it.
Thank you.
Then,
And to clarify, that was a regular license approval.
Correct.
yes,
That was discussion before. so
Yes,
make
we
sure.
have to amend that. Do we amend that now, correct? Or do we have
I
to go
took
to
the
floor?
motion as being the regular license
Yeah.
based on
Yeah.
prior discussion.
Thank you.
Yeah, that was,
sure.
So it's the typical one, not the $10,000.
Anything
Yep.
else comes forward?
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor of this
Aye.
motion?
Aye.
Opposed? The meeting is adjourned.
All right,
No, we got advisory now.
advisory.
Oh, look at
I
me
mean,
go.
I say just,
I'm
Don't
sorry,
forget me.
Rosie.
I should have got in before him.
That's okay, yeah.
why?
Yes.
That's good, Rosa.
All
I
right,
like that.
advisory come to order. Got the minutes reflect that all 5 members are present. Number 53 on the agenda is a resolution in recognition of Kurt Witkowski.
Wittinsky.
Witneski and Gail Sumi.
Make a motion to approve.
It's been
Second.
moved.
I'll
Is there a
second.
second? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Then we have number 54, appointment of Melissa Lintz to the West Dallas Christmas Parade Committee.
Motion to approve.
Second.
That's been moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carried. Number 55, reappointment of Alderperson Dana Kuhn and Martin Weigel
I don't know
to
about
the
those
Block
two.
Grant
I don't know
Committee.
about those two, I have to digest
Motion
that.
to approve.
Second.
Dana,
I have to
go.
have some wine before I get.
There's been approval, but there hasn't been a second
Have
yet.
some
I
wine
seconded it.
Oh, second. Moved and seconded. Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Give her that
Number
stress.
56, reappointment of David K. Graciela Hernandez, Marion French, and Tasha Co-op to the Block Grant Committee.
Motion to approve.
It's
Second.
been moved and seconded. Discussion?
I want to thank all of those individuals for, again, stepping up and volunteering.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carried.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Boy, we're so efficient.
Carried.
See, Vince, that's how it's done.
She's so efficient, that's one thing I'll say. She's so
Oh,
efficient.
oh, oh.
We will call the common council back to order, and I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Grisham. Here. Haas.
Here.
Keen. Here. Lysick.
Here.
Ranky. Here. Rote.
Here.
Stefanski.
Here.
Tenorio.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Excused.
9 present, 1 excused.
Okay, we have a quorum, and we will begin with the Administration and Finance Committee.
The Administration and Finance Committee recommended adoption of item 32.
Mayor Devine, I move for approval of the committee report.
Thank you, Alderman Haas. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Keen.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries, and we will go on to the report from the Public Works Committee.
The Public Works Committee recommended adoption of item 34.
Mayor Devine, I move in accordance of the committee report.
Thanks, Alderman Rote. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Keen. Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries, and then we'll move to the Safety and Development Committee report.
The Safety and Development Committee recommended adoption of items 36 through 38, hold item 39, and approval of item 40.
Mayor Devine, I move for approval of the committee report.
Thank you, Alderman Lysick. Any discussion on Safety and Development Committee? Hearing none, clerk, please call the roll.
Alderperson Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Keen. Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries. Now we'll go to License and Health.
Okay, items 49 and 51 need to be read out separately.
Okay.
The License and Health Committee recommended approval for 15 years of item 41, holding item 42, deny item 43 for non-appearance, hold items 44 and 45, deny item 46 for habitual criminality, hold items 47 and 48, approve item 50 with conditions. The principal business is a painting or print studio, private events only with beer or wine. And item 52 with conditions of private events only and closing at midnight.
Mr. Mayor, I move for approval based on the License and Health Committee report.
Thank you. Any discussion? Okay, then all in favor, please say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? The ayes have it, motion carries. Now we have
The
49.
License and Health Committee recommended approval of item 49 on a 4-to-1 vote.
Mayor, I move for approval of the License and Health report.
Thank you, Alderman Vitale. Any discussion on item 49? Hearing none, I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
No.
Keen.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
No.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
6 in favor, 3 opposed, I think.
I had
Or
seven
is
to,
it
I had
7?
7-2, yeah.
Okay, 7 to 2, and 1
Alderperson
excused.
Hassan wrote were the noes.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yep. And that motion carries. And then item 50.
Item
51?
51 was
Sorry.
approved on a 3 to 2 vote with 3 conditions. The principal business is a restaurant. The hours are till 11 PM, and the activity is only on the first floor, and there's no entertainment license.
Thank you, Alderman Vitale. Any discussion?
Mayor Devine?
Yes.
I had one question. Attorney Decker, how do you know that it's for a restaurant as long as there's a basket of french fries out? It's a restaurant?
So by making the principal business a restaurant, it essentially gives the committee a lot of flexibility. In state law, principal business is defined as a pretty qualitative look at how a business operates. So the way that they market themselves, the amount of capital dedicated to operating as a restaurant, the amount of labor and other costs, the revenues, incomes, expenses, a lot of factors can be used to determine whether something is a restaurant. So because we're in the public setting here, I'll flat out say it for the licensee's purposes, the committee has a lot of discretion in determining if someone's operating as a restaurant, and if it's even smelling like it's not a restaurant, they could revoke the license. So it's the licensee's obligation to ensure that it does operate like a restaurant. Any close calls would fall in favor of the city's determination.
Wonderful, thank you.
Thank
Mayor
you.
Devine,
Alderperson Rowe.
this is a vote to deny, correct?
To approve.
Oh, I thought, what was the vote, Council?
3 to 2.
Oh, okay. My apologies.
Mayor Devine,
Yes, Alderman Lysick.
I'm going to oppose this granting of this license because this place has been a nuisance to the city for a good number of years. We've revoked the license from previous owner. You heard a gentleman speak before the council earlier this evening, and he also spoke at the committee meeting. It has been a major problem in the neighborhood, and we've had an issue in the 4th District where we had a tavern that was of like circumstance where we had all sorts of problems, and we revoked it, and we did not allow another license to go in there. I think this is just a bad location for a tavern, and I am not going to vote in favor of granting a license there.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Rote.
and plus about, within the last year, we, the city, has purchased a whole lot of real estate in that area to not have bars in that area, just to the east.
Thank you. Any other discussion?
Mr. Mayor,
Alderman Vitale.
you know, the reality stands really, the locations, you know. We're talking about, of course, being my district, you know, the fact stands that the problem was not, Scotty, I mean, he was a problem there, you know. I knew him pretty well. But the spot was actually the major problems, you know, really, you know, for a long time, you know, and in many cases, they were there for a long time by causing, you know, a lot of hardship for the people across the street, people north on 65th. But to me, you know, we're talking about more or less to rejuvenating the, you know, part of the city, which at this point is the East End, with all the development. This is not a corner bar. This is not. It will not be a bar. So that's why we applied a restriction now to 11 p.m. So this will be a lounge, so she will stay open up to 11 p.m. So just like any other surrounding people in the neighborhood, which they close around 11 p.m. So to me, I'm not going to crucify somebody that tried to invest maybe $100,000 or $200,000 in the community. Well, that's what I look at. We don't have, Beloit Road on 76 was a corner bar, which was a trouble bar just as well. I'm not saying it's not, but was not a lounge, was not a restaurant, was not. Was just the oldie bars, which years ago was run by retired police officers, which was no problem at all in that establishment. But then after the new licensee came around, well, that bar was a problem below the road. So if we gotta weigh the situation here, so if we got a new developments and somebody wanna open up a restaurant and they need a license, so we'll give them a license. But the fact it is, a B license, I'm sure that's what they're gonna ask for, not just for a license. So we bound to say, well, because this is new, it's a new establishment, new building, will be a good thing for the city. But because it's an old structures, which we did experience some issue before, and I'm really familiar with that. I mean, I've been around for a while, that's why I got gray hair. You know, really, that's the fact it is, under the other people, what's the problem there? But I'm not gonna just put a blindfolding my face. It just says, well, you cannot go there because it was a trouble bar. But this is not a bar. It will not be a bar. It will be a restaurant, and they need to survive. Most of the restaurants now in West Dallas, they need to have some kind of wine, beer, whatever it is. You know, if we talk about improving the redevelopment on and on, I'm not gonna just turn around because somebody else comes around, is a newcomer, or because he's getting a new building or an old building because there wasn't a pre-existing problem, that I'm gonna look the other way on them. I'm not gonna do that. To me, it's not very appropriate. There was a problem there, but maybe that problem is gone. You know, I gave my constituent a chance to speak tonight at the meeting. He asked me about it, and I says, go ahead. You can come and, but the fact is, you cannot say that the person that bought that building, he has some records, he's not part of the licensing. He's not. He's maybe a landlord. I mean, he owns the building, but he doesn't even know at this point whether he has connections with it or not. I have no idea. But we base our license was given to an applicant, which is she knew she doesn't have no records. She has a good job with the city of Milwaukee. I believe she's a responsible woman. So why we should look the other way? Because we had a problem before? You know, to me, it's not very good way how to move forward our community, really. And I tell you strongly the way I feel. You know, that's not the way to do it, because once you get everything developed and you get a new business person and he's gonna open up a restaurant, well, here's your license. Well, I'm not gonna discriminate against that. I will not. It's not very good business for the city. If you start denying license, well, let's deny everybody then. That's my goal. Let's deny everybody, not just to pick and choose who you want. If the person doesn't have any records, well, I like to digest that and see if it really deserves not to get a license. Thank you, Mayor.
Mayor Devine?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try to keep it a little shorter than Vince, but
Well,
I am
talk
going
more,
to.
that's why.
Would you mind turning off your microphone? Thank you. I'm going to echo some of the things that Alderman Vitale said. One of the things that I want the colleagues to know is this applicant came forward wanting to have a restaurant. She is not taking the entertainment license. She really wants to make a go of the restaurant, but as Vince had stated, to be competitive, you need to have the alcohol, and that's why she came forward. She compromised and said that she would accept the 11 p.m. closing versus the 12. And the reason why she wanted the midnight closing was that was going to be her competitive edge, because most of the restaurants in the West Dallas area close much earlier. So she thought that she could take advantage of that, and I have been one of those residents that look for something open a little bit later, and you don't find that often. So I I just want to express that. I think that what Vince also stated, that when we have a problem bar, some of the problems I see we have is the revocation process itself. We should be able to act a little bit faster when we have those problems. But I also think that this person shouldn't have the opportunity taken away from her to at least have a fair shake at attempting to re-envision that site. That development area is huge, and unless we're putting a bulldozer to these buildings, you know, we should be grateful that we're getting people who want to come in our community and invest. She's going to have to put 200 grand into this business. That's not, you know, chump change, you know. So I say at least we give her an opportunity and wish her success in that. We put plenty of conditions that I think Attorney Decker, if he could speak to it, that would really, I guess, protect our investment of offering that license up. But that's pretty much all I have to say. If Attorney Decker would like to weigh in on that based on the stipulations and conditions that we put on that license, I would appreciate it.
Sure. So the conditions, I think, that were presented by the clerk were the principal business has to maintain as a restaurant, and the closing hours would be 11 p.m. for this property. And again, as I described to Alderperson Keene before, the concept of making something a principal business is no light condition to be placed upon a business. It puts the onus on the licensee to ensure that she's going to operate as a restaurant. It's going to be actually one of those situations where if the council would ever believe that the evidence shows they're not operating as a restaurant and the council would choose to revoke that license, the standard to overturn the council's decision is extremely high. So a court is not likely to upset that if there's any basis for the council's decision. That's how a writ of certiorari works. So there is some protection in that way that the council will be able to maintain control of this property and ensure that it operates as a restaurant if that's the way the council votes.
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Lysick.
Alderman Vitale, I take exception to your remarks. This council has approved licenses for many of the older buildings, including one just down the block, the Reunion, which was an old industrial building that was remodeled, and we gave that applicant a license. But he came in with a plan and a menu and an idea and the financial backing to do it. My understanding is that the applicant is not coming up with the money for the building, for the improvements. It's the owner of the building that's going to be spending the money doing that. I didn't see any menu from the applicant. I didn't hear anything about the type of restaurant she's going to put in there. What's she going to do? Sort of, as Alderman King said, is a basket of French fries, does that constitute a restaurant? Where are our standards? You know, most of these, every other time I see a restaurant come in here, the committee is sitting and asking, what's the menu going to be? What type of restaurant is this going to be? I didn't see that this time. And until I see some conclusive evidence that there's going to be a menu and a restaurant, what the theme is going to be, how the interior, is this going to be a pub type restaurant? Is it going to be a whatever, Chinese restaurant? I don't know what kind of restaurant this is going to be. So I'm not going to vote for it until I see better plans. So right now, my vote is no.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Hearing none.
Mr. Mayor, I mean, I'm sorry that.
Alderman Vitale, I think you've exhausted pretty much every topic on this topic we could cover.
Yeah, maybe I
Please
need
keep it brief.
some wine, you know, to refresh myself. But anyway, where we're standing here, she will provide the menu. We had a meeting over at the Development Department with Patrick Schloss last week, and I believe was her attorney or whoever the guy is, you know, I don't want to know. But she will provide a menu, you know, she will, but those are the plans that she will have a lounge, she will have a restaurant, but just the way situations sometimes do arise. She didn't have a right with her tonight, or even, but she will have a menu. She will have. So to me, I mean, to show us a menu tonight, well, it didn't happen. But if you want to have the manual, she can come at the clerk office the next couple of days and do so, really. I mean, that's the way I look at it. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
No.
Keen. Aye. Lysick.
No.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
No.
Stefanski.
No.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
5 in favor, 4 opposed, 1 excused.
Motion carries. I believe that concludes license and health. I believe. All right, we're going to move on to the very efficient and light-loaded advisory committee.
The advisory committee recommended adoption of item 53 and approval of items 54 through 56.
Mayor Devine, I move for approval of the committee report.
Thank you. We have a motion to approve. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Keen. Aye. Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we adjourn until our next regularly scheduled meeting, September 20th, Tuesday at 7 p.m.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. We are adjourned.